And welcome to another exciting installment of the Terrorisk podcast. I'm with Dimitri.
Hello.
And we're here for episode 80. It's currently 9:59 p.m., November 19th, 2023. What's up, y'all?
On a Sunday. Yeah, so the topic is...
The topic of this podcast as a whole is always going to be sex, celebrities, and fashion, because those apparently are the three topics that women are most interested in, and especially for podcasts. So that's where I decide. That's why I decided this podcast is from now on going to be primarily about those three things: sex, celebrities, and fashion.
Yeah, we're here to talk about semen retention, okay?
Semen retention. Yeah, that's right.
Come on.
Yeah, semen retention.
Don't leave them hanging. Don't let them not, get to the climax of the point. You can't just edge them along.
Well, semen retention. I mean, yeah. So, all right. Like, I've mentioned this in a couple past episodes.
Hold on. First off, did you bust yet?
No.
No?
I didn't.
Wow.
No, it's not like that. Like, all right. So, I've already talked about this in like a few other past episodes. I was doing like this 30-day semen retention experiment. And it started, I'd say, like mid-October. So it wasn't for like no nut November or anything.
Yeah.
I just
He just did it.
Yeah, I just did it because
Chad.
Well, no, I was like I'm into all this spiritual shit now, and like semen retention is actually like a big thing. It's actually really niche. So there's the whole umbrella of like traditions and practices of spirituality.
I feel like these days it's actually pretty mainstream. You go on YouTube, there are so many semen retention videos.
You know what's funny? I really think it's the algorithm, because like I looked at one video on semen retention, and then suddenly it's like every single video that pops up is about semen retention, which was what that told me was like that it was like more people were interested in it than I would have thought to consider.
Well, yeah, I guess people do. Would you put in like the productivity hacks thing or like the spirituality thing? I guess there's like overlap.
It's both.
Yeah.
It's absolutely both. And the people like there's literally channels that are dedicated to talking about semen retention, and a lot of those videos like explicitly talk about how there's two sides to like semen retention. There's the guys that do it from like the materialist angle, like they want to increase their productivity, they want self-improvement, they don't want to be jacking it to porn, whatever. But then there's the devotee mindset to semen retention, which is like, oh, they're doing it for God. They're doing it, so that they don't sin, so that they could be more in touch with like their divine masculine and all that shit. And then there's also like overlap, as you said. There's like the kind of the people that are like in between both those things, because the benefits really do kind of overlap. It's like it's all involved. You do get more focus, you do get more energy, and chances are you do get more spiritual.
Yeah, God just wants you to be productive when you don't jerk off. Wow. That's crazy.
I don't think. See, that's why I don't like how the Christian take on things, because it's always about like what God wants, and God wants this and God wants that, and that's why you should do it.
Very needy.
Yeah. What if I liked it because
I don't want to jerk off?
I'm just saying I liked it because I liked the elevated energy. I liked the increased focus, and I was like, this is good. Also, and the way it relates to the spiritual stuff for me, because to me, spirituality has nothing to do with me suddenly like believing in God, praying, and going to church. And
oh yeah, of course,
it wasn't like that for me. For me, what spirituality meant was like elevating, raising my consciousness. Not being a slave to my impulses, my fucking shitty thought processes. And not like acting out in like from like shitty mindset, and actually knowing how to like enter a different state of consciousness at will. That's how I engage with spirituality, and that's why I really, really liked it. Because I didn't have to like start going to church or anything to benefit from it. Suddenly, all it did was just make my life more vibrant and more colorful, and it allowed me to appreciate things more and be more in the moment, and to like actually engage with the things that I want to at the current time. So that's what spirituality has already given me. And then I explored semen retention. So it's like I looked at like the stories of guys who tried it, and like they have a lot of difficulties with certain things, and it wasn't difficult for me at all. But I think it really has something to do with the fact that like I did kind of learn how to tap into altered states of consciousness. It's like,
okay, so you're saying it's working for you.
Well, I'm saying it wouldn't have worked if I didn't go through that gay spiritual awakening back in like the summertime, you know.
Okay, so you think it's more whatchamacallit, cohesive or what's the word? The word for when things are holistic. It's more holistic.
Complementary, you could say. I also think like, I mean, all right, so just we don't even have to like just look at it from purely like within the matrix of semen retention. Like, what is that? Like, to do that successfully, like, what do you have to do? You have to not cave into your physical animal urges, which is I want to come, I got a boner, I just want to come.
Right.
You know, if you don't cave into that, what does that automatically like mean? That means you're in control of your impulses at a higher rate, at a higher level than most guys, because we live in a culture, let's be real,
Yeah, where
that
you
tells
give
us
into impulses.
yeah, that they say like you could jerk off as many times you could jerk off 80 times a day, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know.
You jerk off in your mouth.
Doctors tell us this
then-
shit. Doctors are saying is, yeah, it's healthy. You could masturbate as much as you want, and which is not true. I don't think.
Well, I mean, physically you can. I guess.
Yeah, but I don't think it's good for you. I don't think that's healthy. Especially, it's like more often than not, if guys do that, they're doing it to porn.
Okay, well, there's a lot to cover in that. First off, what do you think are the detriments of jerking off all the time?
I don't think there's really. I don't think it's really detriments, right? It's more like this. Like, if you're happy with where you are, and like you don't want to improve your life, and you don't mind like being static in where you are in life, and like. And you just don't care to like go anywhere else, then fine. Like, you don't need a greater threshold of energy, because you're not trying to actually change the paradigm of your reality. You're perfectly okay with the way things are, then fine. Jerk off all you want, drain yourself. Who gives a fuck? It's not like you need that extra energy or focus,
All right.
But if you do want to improve your station, if you do want to experience a better reality, a higher vibrational reality than the one you're experiencing, then you're going to need more energy to make that change. And if you want more energy, then yeah, you're gonna have to stop doing things that drain your energy, which is jacking off and simping for fucking e-thoughts, which is like wasting your money on mid bitches, and like
That's true.
time and energy, and things like semen retention really just cut all those leaks off in like one fell swoop if you do it successfully.
That's a good point.
So, because semen retention isn't just not jerking off. It's also not going out and trying to fiend for pussy. It's also not like, crawling into the DMs of like mid girls thinking like, oh, I could probably, bag this girl for an easy nut. Like, it's not doing that shit. It's like,
yeah, not being driven by base impulse.
and it's also like, being around girls who are beautiful, who know they're beautiful, and who are used to like being treated as a beautiful person, and used to being like, simped over by guys who would do whatever for them. And then you get to be the exception. You get to be like, you know what, fuck that. And it's really interesting how like certain people react to that energy.
I guess on some level it's like being gay.
Yeah.
It's like,
but even gay guys are coomers. They really are the big
guys.
They're the biggest.
But I mean, it's like being gay to a girl.
But
like,
no. We're
yeah.
not just talking about like the exchange between man and woman. We're talking about literally what you lose when you bust a nut. It's not. It's your psychic energy. It's your fucking life force.
I guess. I mean, but okay. So, but there's two things, right? There's the discipline of not busting.
This is also self-love. It's like I don't want to bust. I don't want to cave because I love myself. I want to be proud of myself as a person who doesn't sit there and touch himself all day.
Sure. No, but I'm saying there's the discipline of not busting, right? But then there's also the discipline of not. Wait, fuck. What was I gonna say? Yeah, like, because it's one thing to not bust, and it's another thing to be around hot girls or girls in general when you're really horny and control yourself. Those are kind of like two separate disciplines, though they both involve discipline.
Well, okay, so
right?
No, I mean, so here's the thing. Like, it's interesting you say that when you're really horny. Like,
yeah.
So when you're like, let's look at that. Let's break that state down. For example, the state of being really horny. Like, like how would you say like you resolve that feeling if you couldn't bust, if you couldn't nut?
That's a great question.
You really don't know, right?
I mean, we talked about this before, and you said stuff like exercising or like going outside. Like
Well,
going for a
okay,
run or
so
something.
what I really the proper
That's
terminology.
a pretty good way to go.
If you're horny, what that is it's a buildup of sexual energy. We can agree on that, right?
Yes, of course.
So if you build that sexual energy up, this is where the alchemy comes into play. The spiritual shit comes into play.
You transmute the energy.
You transmute the energy into something. That's what I mean. We could say the words, but believe it or not, like I feel like a lot of people, not just guys, don't know how to do this. They don't know how, because I was never taught this.
Well, it's hard. I agree.
Well, it's also not just hard. It's just not taught. It's like not in our paradigm of like knowledge, and wisdom. Like
no, I do believe that people come across it naturally. Like when I was trying to do like No Nut November, those times that I did it, like that is what I ended up doing. Kind of, I'd just be like, I'm so horny. Let me like do like 30 push-ups.
Yeah.
Like that would be what I actually ended up doing, unironically.
And this goes back to why I think spirituality, because like meditate. If you know how to meditate, and I know meditate, like people are saying like, oh, it's just not for me. And really meditate, it's like one of those things that's so easy that it's hard. You know what I mean? I think that's really why people struggle with it, because it is so accessible. It's like mentally, it's like we block ourselves so hard from like the truth about meditation and like.
Well, what's the truth about meditation?
It's about viewing yourself in a different way. It's about viewing yourself not limited to your bodily urges. Like if a person tries to pray or meditate, they're like, oh, you like they'll sit there for like 60 seconds. Suddenly their head's filled with, why the fuck am I doing this? Wow, my legs are starting to hurt. I kind of want to get up right now. I kind of want to check my phone. I kind of want to get something to eat. I kind of want to go smoke a cigarette. I want to go jack off. It's like that's the voice. That's the body. That's the flesh.
You're getting all the signals.
Yeah, but what happens if you don't cave in? If you tell your body, you tell your urges, no, fuck you. We are sitting here. We are sitting here right now. We're going to pray or we're going to meditate. We're just going to fucking sit here. And then the voices are going to get louder and louder and louder until it gets so loud, deafening even, where the next second is just nothing. That's when you reach it. That's when you've finally gotten it. You know what I mean? Like that's when you finally get to that point where it's like, you're just a stupid little voice. You're just a stupid little fucking urge in my body, and you're not in control. I am. So if that wasn't you, those urges that tell you to eat, sleep, jack off, whatever, those impulses, if that's not you, then who are you? That's where you start entering the perspective of your higher self. And that's where suddenly things like semen retention become really easy.
Okay, so for people who aren't in that state, do you think they should get to that state first, or do you think they should just start not jerking it?
I think when you stick to not jerking it and you do it for like 30 days, 60 days, even 90 days, I think it's going to force you into a spiritual awakening. I will never know what that feels like, because like I said, like prior to this, I already had my stupid little gay experience. But I think if I never went through that and stuck with semen retention just for the fuck of it, without having anything to do with spirituality, and did it for like 90 days or 60 days, I think I would have forced myself into like an enlightening period.
Either that or you would have failed, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been one or two. I would have either relapsed, or I would have just fucking entered a spiritual awakening, which is actually very interesting to me. Like there were kung fu guys, qigong practitioners, or whatever you call it. There were Buddhists, there were ascetic monks, like all sorts of people talk about how like practicing semen retention when you're spiritually unawakened can lead to a spiritual awakening if you do it long enough.
Interesting.
To me, that's like the same concept as like going through a dark night of the soul. You're basically setting up that situation where you're forced to contend and reconcile with your own, like you're separating, like you're starting to like see the schism between mind, body, and soul. It's like, wait a minute, I want to do the semen retention thing. I want to meditate. I want to do this because I want to be better. I want to improve myself. I want to improve my own image of myself. But then why is my body saying I want to do this, this, and this? Why is this running counterintuitive? Why can't I control that? And then suddenly once you start asking that, you start having that conversation with yourself, and then you start doing your shadow work. You start understanding the root of your impulses, which is to do with trauma, which is to do with all these negative experiences that we push down and not really think about. And once you just let all that out and go through it just for the sake of being able to control yourself, that's like a spiritual awakening right there. That's going through your fucking shadow work.
Okay, that's interesting.
I mean, it's Carl, like you said, you referenced Carl Jung. He's the one. He's like
not in this, but earlier, yeah.
But he's like the godfather of like the Western take on this, like shadow. He's the one that came up with the term. Like,
yes.
Yeah, the shadow and the shadow work. Meanwhile, like thousands of years before him, like
Yeah, it
Those
was all
people-
the same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to
Not
say
the same,
I
but
don't want
yeah.
to conflate everything as each other, but yeah, it is the same. It's the same shit. That's what they were alluding to, the same shit.
Yeah.
Christianity even follows that kind of same frequency of like elevated consciousness, but they have like a weird.
Yeah, they do it different.
Yeah, I don't like the way they do it. I'm not
That's
into
fair.
it. It's because it's so institutional. You know,
It's
like
very hierarchical. Yeah.
I'm
It's
not into
like
it.
everything is given to you by the institutions.
It's almost a spiritual trap to me. It's like a trap to like real like that could.
Well, I believe that part of Christianity's goal is to legitimately institutionalize people into society. Right? It's not an individualist religion, it's a collectivist religion.
Yeah, I also think Jews are far more spiritual than Christians, heavily.
Even secular ones to some degree can be, yeah.
Like when I get into like when I looked briefly into Jewish mysticism,
Like Kabbalah.
but yeah, and it was all referencing like very 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 similar shit. I mean
I could see
their
that.
whole tree of life thing was a lot like how like different cultures mapped like energy bodies, like in Hindu, like ancient
Right.
Hindu texts and all that shit. So that was
They all just stole from each other.
They did. This is why I got into alchemy and like hermeticism, because there's like a lot of historical archaeological discoveries that may suggest this, but no one could 100% prove it, like with the Emerald Tablets. But like it's assumed that there was a guy named Hermes Trismegistus who like the Greeks refer to him as the Greek god Hermes. Other cultures referred him as Thoth or whatever. Other cultures referred him as the Egyptians referred him as his own god. Apparently, the Hermes was like an inflection. Like Hermeticism was an inflection point for many different spiritual practices that branches off into like Buddhism and Greek mysticism and all that shit.
Okay.
So yeah, this is why I like Hermeticism, because it was like you said, maybe they're all just referencing the same shit and they all stole from the same shit, which would be Hermes.
Okay. I don't know much about that.
I could lend you the book,
cool.
The Kabbalion. It's like it's a short read.
I'm not gonna go that hard.
Yeah,
But it's fun to talk about.
I love alchemy, the concept of alchemy. I used to think it was like retarded because I used to think
you
it was
mean
like
the
this.
literal concept or the metaphysical concept?
Well, the literal concept isn't the real alchemy. It's not. That's not what alchemy truly is. That's just like this weird misunderstanding or misconception of what alchemy was. That's just a metaphor. It's symbolic because
Right.
most of the time we learn about alchemy and they're just saying, they brush it off and say, oh, they're just talking about turning lead into gold. We know that's actually like impossible, but that's actually just that's symbolic. That's a metaphor for lead is like turning your like dense state of consciousness where it's like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm horny, I'll jerk off, I'll go to the deli and buy a fucking honey bun, and then I'll drink an Arizona iced tea, and then I'll go smoke some weed, and then I'll watch some Netflix, and I'll play Ubisoft, and then I'll go to sleep, and then the next day will be exactly the same. That's lead. That's your lead state.
Right,
and
inertia.
then once you elevate your consciousness, that's when you get to turn it into gold.
Okay.
Which is the transmutation of like the fluid that goes from the
Right.
base of your spine to your cranium.
Well, do you think people back then? I think people back then did believe, just as you could transmit your spiritual energy, you could transmute physical elements. And I do think they might have been wrong, but I don't think it was obvious back then that you couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, also like I would also think like if you want to look at it more of a metaphorical sense, it's like, here, give me lead. I could like pound it, whatever, turn it into a sharp object, tie it to a stick, take that thing and fucking ram it into an animal, skin that animal, turn it into a pelt, then go to the store, sell that pelt, and then get gold. Boom, I just turned lead into gold. Like, is that not like the perfect like metaphor for like, transmuting and like the representation of what alchemy truly is and like what a spiritual awakening is actually about? It's not just about boom, snap your fingers and lead gold. No, it's you got to do the work. You got to align the reality of taking this lead, turning it into something, to turn it into something else, to turn it into something else, to finally turn it into what you want it to be.
Okay, so the real alchemy all along was capitalism.
Or RuneScape,
Gotcha.
or like Minecraft or some shit. It's just a big crafting system.
So the reason Minecraft appeals to Zoomers and kids is because of the spiritual aspect.
Imagine like Minecraft religion.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's like everything in religion is Minecraft. No, everything in the world is Minecraft. Like.
No, I think Minecraft's a very important game. I think it's basically like Lego for the computer generation.
Well, it touches upon a bunch of different things. Like, it touches on a little bit of physics. It touches on a little bit of chemistry. It touches on a little bit of
all that. But
Yeah.
like
Geology,
in addition to the
geography.
Lego aspect, there's also like the adventure exploration aspect.
yeah, and the social aspect.
Yeah, and the social there's like a lot going on there that is, I think, actually good for kids to experience because they just probably won't get to experience it in regular life these days, unfortunately.
You know what though? You know what's funny? Not to go off track, but like, ever since I finished my 30 days, like, I'll say it half jokingly.
Well, that's not going off track. That's the topic.
I'll say it half jokingly, but like, people will talk about something some ridiculous guy is doing, and I'll just be like, he should try practicing semen retention.
Based.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, it was
So you would recommend it to others, is what you're saying?
what?
You would recommend it to others?
Semen retention?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I would recommend it to others. I mean, first of all, you're not hurting anyone. Like, if you're a man practicing semen retention, A, you're not hurting anyone. B, you're literally saving your energy. That's a good thing, I think. And C, I think women respect a man who's able to like control his sexual urges, who's able to not touch himself when he doesn't want to. Just because he gets horny, he doesn't have to like.
Well, I will say the danger I feel with this sort of thing is you may actually find yourself out of control, right? Like maybe you're good with avoiding porn, but then like one day you see a really hot girl, and you're just gonna be like, "Fuck, I cannot control myself at this point."
Yeah, but
I'm not saying you'll rape someone.
But what I'm saying is that is not true, though. I think that's more mythology. I don't think. Have you ever seen a guy that was just that uncontrollably horny? I mean, we hear stories, yeah.
I mean, I've been there.
But I don't think. But did you ever like rape or molest anyone?
No,
exactly.
I don't mean like that.
No.
I just mean like you're like you just see this girl and you're like, fuck. This
You know
is like
what?
the hottest fucking.
I would
girl
actually bet money that like 99.9% of like rapists out there are coomers. I would bet money on that.
Interesting.
I don't think any of those guys were practicing semen retention. I don't think any of those guys were not coming. I think those guys were all coming. Like, they were all coomers. I bet you.
I would like to see the stats on that.
But there was no way we'll know. But I bet you, I would bet money that 99.9% of those guys.
I think someone checked, but it's hard to say.
I bet they were all jack off coomers, like 100%. I would bet money.
I think mass shooters are probably coomers, but I don't know about rapists, like serial rapists.
Because I think it's the coomers that really lack self-control. It's the coomers that lack impulse control.
Well, hold on, because I think you're conflating two rapist models, right? There's the lack self-control impulse model, right? And then there's the, they actually want to do this model.
But just because you actually want to do it doesn't mean that's not a problem with impulses. Maybe you have a problem with wanting the wrong, like
yes, that would be a
wrong thing. You know,
exactly.
That's a bad impulse.
But I'm saying, some people do it unconsciously, and some people do it consciously.
Oh, like what? Oops, I accidentally raped this person.
Well, I mean, it's like the difference between like premeditated murder and like raging out in the moment.
Also, if it's something that you're addicted to doing,
right? Like I've never been a rapist. I don't know any rapists. I don't actually know how this works. Yeah. But I'm just thinking out loud, like.
Yo, one thing I did like. All right, so another thing about another reason why I would recommend semen retention is that it, throughout the 30 days, it's helped me. I've learned a lot about myself, some good things and some bad things. But one of the best things was learning that I wasn't like a crackhead coomer. Like when I realized I wasn't going through like fucked up withdrawals and shit like that, and like,
good for you.
No, seriously, I
feel like most people would not have that, but okay.
Maybe I don't know, cause like I've read like different different accounts, but you're right. Like a lot of people, I think some people have an easier time of it than others.
I would imagine that, yeah.
And
actually, better question or tangential, like whatever. Like, how often were you jerking it before this?
That's the thing. I wasn't really jerking it. Like, there would be like a week where I would like jerk off every day, and then there would just be literally like a week, maybe 2, where I would just be there would just be so much going on. Like maybe I wouldn't be home for like that, like for a few days to a week or 2 weeks because I'll be away. Or maybe like I would just literally.
Let me slightly replace it. I guess I should replace jerking it with coming. Right, because you might be just getting it with women.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You know, that's another thing. Like sometimes, like I would literally just be seeing a girl for like a week, and I wouldn't really jerk off. You know, like I could.
Right, but I'm saying like, you know, how frequently were you, like jizzing? I guess, like historically.
Historically, probably like every other day to once every 3 days at least, you know?
Okay, I feel like for our age, that's probably the typical frequency.
Yeah, but
if you're like 21, you're probably like three times
there would
a day
be
or some
days,
shit.
there would be weeks where it's like consecutive, like every day. Look, I didn't come into this because I thought I had a problem at all.
No, I agree.
I came into this purely out of curiosity. You know, I was like,
no, I'm just trying to give context.
Like imagine
like how hard it might be. Like if you're doing it like 6 times a day. And you just go full stop.
Okay, that's the thing. I actually do know guys who like jack off like 6 times a day, 8 times a day.
Know guys
but what I'm
like
saying
that.
is like I could only imagine how hard this would be for them. Like if to them it's
so,
just so normal to just be like, all right, time to pull up my 32 tabs of Pornhub, and they're just like they got to go through their daily shit where it's like, you know, they do. There's guys like that.
Dude, I remember when I was in engineering school. Like I'd be sitting in the back of the class, and that was like one of the first years they allowed laptops. Like you just see, you know, everyone's screen, and like everyone's just watching porn in class, like not even jerking it. That's just like what they were looking at.
Dude, do you realize
that's fucking strange?
Do you realize how fucked up that is?
Yeah, I do. That's what I'm getting at.
So all right, so
like I don't think I've ever hit those levels.
Okay, but that's porn, which is its own problem. Which again, semen retention will tackle that for you. Like if you have a porn addiction, semen retention is. This is why, like, you know, I don't mind NoFap. I think NoFap is good. It's better than nothing. You know, NoFap is literally all right. Don't look at porn. Don't drag off to porn. You can fuck your girlfriend though.
Right.
Semen retention is like hard mode. It's like don't jerk off. Don't even fuck women. You know, don't even do that.
Your girlfriend will hate it.
I mean, luckily I don't have
unless she's like, yeah, cool, I get to not have to fuck. Nice.
No, you could still fuck on semen retention. You just can't bust.
Oh, so that was actually something I was gonna ask.
Yeah, you could fuck on semen retention. You just can't bust.
How hard is that, though?
Probably very hard. I don't know. I've never done that. Well, actually, you know what? I could name a handful of times where I fucked and didn't bust for various reasons.
We've all been there. Fine, but I'm saying like. No, because someone I know brought up the concept of, you know, like the tantric thing. Where you can
orgasm without each other. Yeah. I don't even want to go. I don't even want to try that. Like, I'm not even going to fucking.
No, you know?
No, I'm not going to.
Well, have you ever done that? I feel like people do that sometimes.
Yes,
that's definitely happened.
I definitely have to. I remember this because I did it by accident.
Yeah, everyone does it by accident.
I did it because like I was in the middle of intercourse and I was going down on a girl. And then like it was like, all right, you know, she had her little orgasm, so I was like, all right, time to insert my penis into her vagina. But then like, you know, I was already so worked up. It's like, oh, but I can't come. So I stopped myself from coming, but I still experienced the orgasm. I was like, oh, this sucks. You know?
Yeah, no, that happened. Yeah, that's happened to me like several times. And it is especially awkward during sex. Where you're like, I technically just busted. Like, damn.
But you did it.
But you did it.
Yo, if I could do that all the time, that would be great.
But that's what people train themselves to do sometimes.
But I don't want to do that.
But I feel like, that would miss the point. Because now you're like,
get addicted to
now you're back on the base surges. You just like kind of played yourself.
But it's just funny. Yeah, it's like you can make an art out of that fuck up. Like, you know?
That would be like guys faking orgasms.
Yeah,
it's like no, I came. I just
didn't bust.
I just didn't bust. Like I swear, bro. It was really hot.
It was good. You were so good. You were excellent.
Yeah.
God damn, that's so funny. Yeah. All that tantric shit. Yeah, people. I've read that everywhere. I was like, you know, I read it's like, yeah, it's super possible for men to like experience orgasm without like ejaculating. And I was just like, what? Yeah, take it. I was just like, yeah, I'm not interested in that at all. I was just like, I don't give a shit about like, you know, going that far just to like, you know, just to have an orgasm without having an orgasm. You know, like.
Well, I mean, do you? Do you think there's anything to that though? Like just
100%.
retaining-
Yo, if you're in a relationship and like, you know, you're
Well, you just get multiple orgasms at that point, I guess, as a guy. Or do you? I don't know.
I mean, because
That's
here's the
tricky.
thing, like, all right, so clearly, historically, you would have to think the only reason why they would go that far to create those techniques is because semen retention does have benefits, and they were trying to figure out ways to get those benefits and still orgasm, you know, and still like have sex with their wives and shit.
That sounds like a very tricky
It's
trick.
having your cake and eating it too,
Right,
You know? It's
yeah.
like, which is a stupid saying, but that's exactly what that is. That's what that's referring to. And like, I mean, I don't have, and it's currently like big shocker, I don't have a girlfriend, but like,
You just mentioned that,
yeah, but I don't have a girlfriend, and it was easy for me. It's not like I'm disappointing anyone by practicing semen retention. I feel like it was just a perfect place, perfect time, perfect context for me to like try it, you know.
Yeah. You're on your own. You're getting this. Yeah.
And it was great. It was absolutely awesome. Like I'll never sit there and tell you like benefits, like, you know, the woo shit, like, oh yeah, women started gravitating towards me and I was able to like seduce them easier. Like I would never like, you know, get into that shit, but I could honestly easily attest to elevated energy, increased focus. I get better sleep. I honestly think like, you know, I just feel like more awake, you know. I feel more like present.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if for context, if you want, I could tell people my quote unquote semen retention story.
Yeah, go for
Where,
it.
you know,
Tell us. All right, first let me ask you questions
Okay.
about it.
Oh, go for
So
it.
first, tell me like what was the first week like? First 7 days.
Well, to give context, I did attempt like No Nut November in college, and like several times after college.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, so like for the first week, I think, because I masturbated like fairly frequently in college.
Yeah.
I would say, though actually,
It's like it was almost going out of style.
well, no, no. Okay, so fun fact, I started masturbating like pretty late in life. Like I don't think I did it until like late high school, early college.
Dude, don't worry with things like that. See, here's the thing. It goes both ways. There's going to be people that freak you out to say, I've never masturbated until like I was in my 20s. And there are people that'll tell you, I've been masturbating since I was like 4 years old. It's
Yeah,
really
I don't
weird.
get
It's a
that
really,
shit.
really weird spectrum. Like,
No, I mean, I think a lot of people discover masturbation during puberty. And like how they discover it is always a fun story.
yeah, I could
Well,
tell you
let's
how.
not.
yeah.
Okay, fine. Actually, let's go. Let's go.
No, I discovered it because I remember I was in 6th grade. I was 11. I was in woodshop class, which is like late to some people.
Hell yeah.
I was in woodshop class.
Get that wood, bro.
Yeah, I was in woodshop class, and I was with my friend Nick. And, you know, he was like, he was a funny guy, and I made him laugh. So I wasn't
Right.
the funny guy. He was the funny guy, but I made him laugh. So I was like
Okay,
the
you're
guy
like
that made the funny guy laugh.
Funny guy.
Yeah. So we were just hanging out, and then I was like, how do you jerk off anyway? You know, I always hear about it, but I don't know what jerking off actually is. And he's like, are you serious, man? And I was like, yeah. So he's like, all right, so you take your dick, and when it gets hard, you just keep rubbing it, and then you just keep rubbing it, and then eventually, like white stuff will come out, and it'll feel really good.
Oh, so like someone told you.
Yeah, because I just never,
that's
I never
interesting.
attempted it, and I was curious, so I just asked. I was like, yo, bro, like Nick, what the fuck is jerking off? Like, tell me what it is. And he was like, oh, and then he just explained it to me. I was like, all right, cool. So, you know, I tried it, and I was like, wow, this is pretty legit. Like, this works.
Hell yeah.
And
Oh,
it's almost like for a while, it's like that's all you could do. You know, like you're like, shit. It's almost like I don't want to do anything else. You know, like fuck.
Oh, see,
This is why it's dangerous. You know.
See, that's interesting. I kind of like discovered it on my own through like very random experimentation that I don't fully remember at this point.
Well, by the time you're that age, you probably already heard of all sorts. You probably seen all sorts
No,
of shit.
actually, no one really told me about it.
Right.
Like, I think it was just like.
What kind of engineer does know how to jerk off? Fuck,
No,
man.
no, I wasn't even an engineer back then.
You can't engineer an orgasm.
No, like I think like I just started with like rubbing my finger on my dick basically,
Mm-hmm.
and like
Petting
as,
it.
as
Heavy
like
petting.
a horny teenager that
Heavy
like,
petty-
somehow worked.
Heavy penis petting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know. I didn't like think much about it because it's just like a really baseline thing. It wasn't like a conscious thing.
Yeah.
And then eventually people were like, hey, you know, porn exists, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
It's all good. You know, it's like for girls, it happens in way weirder situations because for them,
I've heard some like girl masturbation
well,
discovery
it's
stories.
yeah,
It's always
like
fun.
it's not even like yeah. Like there's this one girl. This will never Like I think like she told me like Steve Buscemi was her sexual awakening.
Based.
Yeah, I thought that was like pretty funny.
But, like, do you know what she did, or?
No, I would imagine like she was like young-ish and she just randomly got wet, you know, like watching Steve Buscemi.
He used to be a firefighter, so.
That's why when he played the firefighter, I thought it was a really good fit
Nice.
in Pete Davidson's movie.
Oh no, fuck Pete Davidson. I hate that guy too much.
All right, so
Yeah.
your first week of semen retention,
Yeah. Okay. So
no fap.
Yeah, no fap.
Which is,
Yeah, same difference, I guess. Yeah. So if you're used to masturbating a whole bunch,
it's hard, yeah.
it's like for the first 3 to 4 days, you're like really missing it, and it's like really on your mind.
You know what? Also, you were in your 20s. When I
Yeah.
did semen retention, I was in my 30s. It's probably very
Yes.
different.
Well, you did,
you know?
you're doing it.
I'm saying like it probably would have been different.
You didn't even did it. You were like in it.
I'm just saying it probably would have been different for me if I did it at like 22 instead of 32.
Yeah, I would think so.
I probably would have had a way harder time with it. You know, like
Harder. Yeah. Yeah. For the first few days, I kind of missed it, and then after like 3 or 4, I feel like it's just like you're chill. Like you don't think about it. You're just good. So like, I don't know. I feel like your urge level kind of dies down.
yeah, of course, yeah, it does. There's that flatlining period where it's like, I don't even care about this. I don't even care about anything. So that was the first 7 days, right?
Yeah. Well,
What was
like I said, it happened after like day 4 or day 3 usually. Because
Okay.
I've tried it several times, and that was pretty consistent for me. But then, like I said, like girls tend to look like a lot more attractive.
That's hilarious.
After that point.
All right, what about week 2? What was week 2 like?
Week 2, it was like I had 20 minutes extra free time every day.
That's awesome.
But
That's
I
good.
actually didn't get like more energy or more focus. Well, like maybe like a tiny bit. It wasn't like
No, because you
drastic
also
for
got to
me.
remember you were in college, which took up most of your time.
No, I wouldn't say that. College was chill.
I'm saying it's a huge chunk of your time. It's like a job.
I mean, I worked pretty hard throughout college, but I wasn't like stressing.
I'm saying it still takes it. Like just because you don't stress at
You
your
mean like I
job-
was busy?
Yeah, like
Yeah, I'm more busy now than I was in college. I'll say that for sure.
oh, okay, that makes sense.
I don't know how or why that works. Just what it is.
So week 2 was like flat, like
Yeah,
consistent. What about week 3?
Week 3 is also pretty like it's about the same as week 2. Like you're just kind of like chilling.
So you finished 4 weeks of semen retention,
I did about like 25 to 28 days.
and you
usually.
didn't like go crazy and molest anyone or anything.
No,
I'm
not
kidding.
not bad.
I'm kidding.
No, I'm joking. No, but like yeah, the way it would usually end is after some amount of time. Like I'd basically like get horny triggered, and then I'd just be like, ah, fuck, like I am way too horny right now. Like
When was the last time you did it?
Fuck, maybe like 2 years ago.
Really?
Maybe.
Why'd you do it 2 years ago?
I think it's just like no fap.
You were just in it for the no fap November?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or February.
Yeah. All right.
Because there's no nut and then there's no fap.
Wait. Why do you? So was that all it took for you? You were just like, I just want to get down with the holiday spirit, like.
Yeah, I was like this. Well, I mean, okay. To full disclosure, I guess I do feel like I have a problem with masturbation sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Like I get like too kind of like addicted to it.
Okay.
Like there's like times where I'm like, oh, I literally cannot sleep unless I like jerk off.
Oh shit.
And like I don't like that, you know?
Yeah.
So
You know what? Again, this is what I'm saying. This is why all it takes is to just do it. You know, just do. Because for me, it's like my biggest problem was I had a feeling. I didn't know if I was or not. I didn't know if I was horribly addicted to masturbating. But since I did it so often, even if it was every other day, every other whatever, every day, like just the fact that I did it like as often as I did was enough for me to be like, am I addicted to this? Which probably had
if you're
something.
doing something every day, it's probably at least a habit.
So like that's another thing that just like kind of pushed me towards trying semen retention. I was like, let me just fucking try this. Let me just see like how far gone I am, quote unquote. You know, let me see how much of a fucking, because it wasn't just masturbation. It was also like me going into like when I got drunk, I would like go into DMs of some girls. I mean, most of them would like cater to me, but sometimes it would just be like an awkward conversation, you know, and like and that's
I never had that issue. But
see, that was my big thing. It's like I would like, it's not like anyone would end up hating me, but I would read through these
you
conversations.
just be like horny posting, yeah.
No, I would read through the conversations and I'll be super embarrassed. I would literally like message them. I'll be like, I'm so sorry. Like I was like
That
really
was
drunk.
cringe.
No,
My
I mean,
bad.
we would have fun, but it's like still, like it's just not. It's if it's not
Like-
something that I'm consciously like in control of 100%, I didn't want it. So what like
Were you like, what are you wearing, or were you like, show Bob?
like both, like we swapping nudes and shit, and I was like, yeah, it made me feel kind of like a type of way where it's like this isn't doing anything for me really, like
Yeah.
this isn't like enriching my life, or anything like that. So I was
yeah,
like,
but yeah, I kind of agree. Like I have a very love-hate. No, I'm gonna go with love-hate relationship with sexuality in general, because like on the one hand, it's like a very driving force, but on
Mhm.
the other hand, it feels so pointless.
yeah,
Right? Because it's like, okay, you came. Good job.
yes, but it's like I do like of course, it wasn't my life didn't revolve around sex, and I knew that much.
Well, it doesn't have to.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
like I'm just
yeah,
saying,
I'm
it's
not-
like one of like another vector. That,
Yeah, it's
like,
it's
motivates.
definitely a huge biological imperative. That's for
Yeah.
sure. But like I said, the more spiritual I got, the less biological, I guess you could say, I got. The less I started caring about like wanting to eat the most like foods. Then I started being more conscious of what I ate. Like I wanted to eat more healthier. I wanted to eat less of what was unnecessary and more of just what I needed. And then it also got into like, like yeah, I want to party, which means I gotta like. I can't just not work out and not exercise. Like if I want to like do what we're doing now, then I have to like care for. I have to make up for that. Like I have to like if I want to like sit here party and smoke and drink with my friends, then I'm gonna have to at least like work out every day and like
That's
diligently do martial arts to balance out the scales. Like
Oh, okay.
I mean like I'm an athletic type of person.
Yeah,
like,
but I never considered the concept of having to balance. Usually, like,
dude, how do you think I do all this shit? Like I have to consider that. Like
oh, I don't know.
The
I never
problem
thought
is
about it.
I do music. I don't just do martial. If I only
Yeah.
did martial arts, I wouldn't even bother with any of it. But the fact is, like, I am a creative person. Like, I do make music and I do like
Yeah, I
to
think
make
that's good.
things. And what comes with the territory of liking to make things is you want to explore with drugs. You want to do mind altering
Oh,
substances.
I don't. I have no freaking desire for that.
You drink, don't you?
Yeah, but it's not mind altering.
Yes,
That's
it is.
just-
Alcohol is
more-
absolutely mind altering.
Well,
It's
like,
perspective
You're
altering.
correct, but I mean, like, there's a difference between like hallucinogenics and like.
Well, all right. How far you
mood
go?
thingies.
How far you go with it is entirely up to the individual. But what I am saying, we do like to alter our minds as creative people.
I actually never do creative stuff when I'm drunk or high.
But you do get drunk or high.
Yes, but not for
Okay.
creative purposes.
But you do get drunk or high.
yeah, I'm not.
And that ultimately does enrich your creative output because it gives you different perspectives to work with.
I suppose. I feel like
Well-
drinking for me is mostly like.
Look, I'm not saying
anti-anxiety.
drinking or doing drugs is a requisite for doing creative shit at all.
I
That's
agree.
not what I'm trying to get at. What I am saying is like it's a very natural overlap. Like it's a very
Yes.
common overlap. It's
Well,
a very
if you're going into like the exploratory thing, yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, a lot of my favorite artists did a ton of drugs.
so
Can't even deny it.
so for me, it's a question of balance. It's not a question of because neither one's gonna win out over the other. I'm not gonna sacrifice either one for the other. Like the healthy physical, maintenance side versus the devil may care, chaotic kind of like. I think they're both integral to me. So
Well, I mean, I'd even make the argument that someone who like is only ever healthy and like never does other shit, that's like, that probably actually is not as good as someone who like indulges a little bit.
wait, what?
Like like people who are like, oh, I'm only ever like gonna eat healthy.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, like
I think the person who eats a little bit unhealthy sometimes has it better, and like
Well,
is
yeah.
probably more healthy
But that's what I'm saying.
than a person who like.
so for
only
me,
ever
this
eats
is
healthy.
my quote unquote eating unhealthy, like
Right.
engaging in a little bit of ketamine use or cocaine usage or alcohol. Like that makes up for like the burger I never ate. Like that makes up for the fuck. I mean,
Burgers are good though, but okay.
I mean, I'll snack on shit, but it's not like I'm definitely a lot more conscious about like what I've been eating,
All right.
especially with intermittent fasting because you only have like one meal a day and a certain
know.
window to eat, so you become more conscious of what you eat naturally.
Does the meal like taste a lot better when you only get one?
Yeah, I would actually. Yeah, that's a really good. Guess, but yeah, I would say so. My cat's just flashing his butthole to the camera.
Hell yeah. Get that cat butt.
Hey, come on, buddy. Yeah, I'm a little guy.
But yeah, but to get back to the question, yeah, around like day 23 or 25 or whatever, I would get very uncontrollably horny,
Damn.
and then I'd just be like, "Fuck it!" Like
I think that's when you should have kept going. You should have just been like,
I
fuck.
tried. No, there's like a few times where I did.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd like be like, "Nah, fuck it." Like I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna exercise. But then it'd like come again like in a few days later, and then like a few
know what you
days
gotta
later.
do?
After a while, I'm just like, whatever. Like
So here's the thing, like I don't consider myself a kind of person that would just like us like I'm not gonna see how there's multiple tools available and different people will have different skill levels on how to use these tools. So like there's meditation, there's prayer, there's breathing exercises, there's mindfulness exercises.
Right.
These are all different tools to do the same thing.
for the record, I have none of these tools.
I'm just saying,
either
you should,
then or now.
but there,
so I'm
we
not,
have a
like-
plethora of tools, and you should at least pick one. So next time you attempt this sort of thing, you're a little more equipped to like barrel through some shit.
I'll probably like play DDR.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Well,
it's not mindful, but like
no,
it is
that's
stimulating.
like breathing. It's like a breathing exercise.
It's cardio for sure.
Yeah, cardio works for sure. Cause
And I'll be a fucking nerd.
yeah, another thing you could honestly, I think something as simple as like a Rubik's cube or like rolling a quarter or like using flipping a butterfly knife.
Okay, that sounds autistic as fuck, but okay.
But even that'll work. No,
no,
see, I don't.
that's not gonna be enough.
No, I don't like the way autistic stimmies because
I'm
they're
joking,
not
I'm
doing
joking.
anything like real. They're just like pushing buttons that make clicking
Yeah,
noise.
but it's satisfying.
No, I like the butterfly knives and I like the rolling the coins and I like.
That I feel like that's all part of the same thing, but okay.
No, one takes dexterity and skill.
Well, yeah, like the pen flip.
Yeah.
Like I think it's all overlap. You could have more skill, but like I feel like that's just a satisfaction thing. Like it feels good to do like something, like that.
Maybe. All right. So the furthest you never have you ever hit 30 days before?
I don't remember. Maybe it's
Shit.
possible that I think one time I really did push it by like a week or two,
Yeah.
but I don't think I ever did like 50 or 100.
First of all, like here's the thing about like I mean, I would never pat myself on the back for even going past like I'm past 30 days. I wouldn't pat myself on the back for going past 60 days because I'm just like there's people out there who've been like 4 years, like of not nutting, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I don't think I would do that, if, just because of how many opportunities of life you're cutting yourself off from, like literally trying to retain semen for that long.
So you're gonna come eventually, is what you're saying.
Eventually, yeah. But also
you're not
it's like
you're like die hard holding out.
but that's also why like I don't think 30 days, 60 days, even 90 days or whatever, 100 something. I don't even think that's that many days, because I know guys out there that are on some crazy shit.
Yeah.
But also it's like I think like at the same time, even going past like 4 days, you could pat yourself on the back because like I think like 90% of the guys would have like in the world now can't even go past like 4 days.
I would say like if you could do 4 days, you could probably do like 20 days.
Yeah, because most people
generally it depends on who you are, obviously.
Because there's like so many cases where I think a lot of guys I know just couldn't even go like 4 days without busting.
Well, I think if they can't go 4, they probably can't go 1.
Well, there you go. See, that's what and that's that number of guys who can't even go 1 is increasing.
Yeah.
Like there's more and more.
Well, you gotta
guys
take the edge off. I don't know.
I'm just saying that's no bueno because you're wasting your life energy. You're wasting your seed. You're wasting your psychic energy. That's your psychic force.
What's your take on like drinking your own jizz?
That sounds gross, man.
It does. But like, it comes back into you, right?
I would rather like inject it.
That's not gonna work.
Oh man.
Your bloodstream is not equipped to process jizz.
But if you don't bust, that's what it does. It cycles back into your bloodstream and then it reformulates.
I honestly have no idea what happens like physiologically.
It doesn't just. You're like, I thought it just stored in my balls and eventually my balls would pop.
Yeah, with the pee. Pee is stored in the balls.
You know what's funny though?
Just stored
Honestly, what's really funny is like is when you hear it, like when you see people come across people who have a problem with like semen retention, like they're like against it.
You mean Coomers?
Well, aside from like anybody, any person who would like sit there and be like, "How dare you? How dare you not jack off or look at porn? The fuck is wrong with you? You're
I haven't met too many people that are like very pro porn or pro jerky. There be people that are like, yeah, it's okay to do it, but I've never met anyone who's like, you should.
No. It's because like maybe I'm just projecting. Because I would like make fun of people who would be like, "Oh, what are you holding in all that semen for, you idiot? Like, why don't you live a little?" And then now I'm just like, wow, that was a really incredibly stupid position for me to take, and I kind of regret it.
Oh, so you actually thought that?
Yeah.
Wow.
No. I mean, it's like I didn't know at the time, but I was really insecure. Because I wanted to feel better about the fact that I was like jacking it, you know, as like a.
Well, I mean, people knew at the time. But I guess you did it. Okay. No one like told you
what
that you were insecure
about
like,
what?
Ever? Just in general.
No, I mean about that specific. Yeah, I've been insecure about plenty of things. I know that. I'm just saying. Just
wait, insecure about what then? Like jerking it?
Yeah, jacking off.
Why would you be insecure about that?
Because it's like
I feel like it's not stigmatized.
I think it should be.
Fair. If you want to be Jordan Peterson about it, like okay.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's a cool thing to do. Like to sit there and like touch yourself. It's like, dude, why? And first of all, like I do think there's negative effects to like wasting your fucking jizz. Like
yeah, as you said, yeah, okay. So you think it should be stigmatized?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
Well, only because it's only gonna help if you don't do it.
It's just gonna make it hotter.
I mean, it would be so funny, like living in like a post-semen retention world where every guy's just walking around with a raging boner,
Yeah.
and all the girls are like super frustrated because their husbands won't fuck them. And the world just erupts in creative chaos. It's like,
yeah, and then there's one guy who's like, "Fuck this! I'm jerking every day, sticking it to the man," and all the women are just like. If you give me $20, I'll show you my tits. And he's like, take all my money.
The one coomer to rule them all.
And all the women are just like lining up to like, show off.
It's like the last samurai, but the last coomer.
Last coomerai.
The last coomerai. Oh my god.
No, I don't know.
The savior would be the coomer to break the oppressive cycles of semen retention.
Yeah.
No, but I do think
like
it's
coomer Jesus.
I do think it's. No,
I will die on the cross with a boner in my hand.
And cum in my garb, like on my robes. No, I do think it's unreasonable to expect like guys to like hold in their semen for like 10 years or 1 year. Like that's a long time to not bust. Like everyone wants to bust.
I mean, that's just called a civilization.
Yeah.
Well, that's like saying like you can't expect someone to never fight anyone, and yet here we are. People go their whole lives without fighting. I feel like given enough social pressure, you could probably get plenty of people who just never bust.
Yeah, true. In their whole life.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
And then those people are usually more focused, more creative, more energetic.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know. I don't know how it would work for.
Well, try it, I guess. I don't know.
No, I mean, I don't know how it would work for a society. Like, I can speak for myself, obviously. But, like, if, like, no one did it, that would be, like, super weird.
But you know what? Like, if for, like, any just pure rationalists or rigorous rationalists.
Vigorous. It's like a Freudian slip.
Rigorous rationalists. I would say, like, as long as as long as you understand also that like all the spiritual shit and all that stuff, like with meditation and it's all psychology.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like if you want to look at it in a pure material sense, you could at least lean on the fact that psychology is a thing, that mind is everything.
Well,
like
psychology is like modernism's take on spirituality, as far as I
Yes.
can tell.
Yeah. And that to me makes it incredibly valuable. That's why I appreciate psychology so much.
Same.
I don't think I would ever be able to like engage with spiritual shit if it wasn't for being able to approach it with tools that like, you know, the modern tools of psychology would have given me, because that allows me to share it and connect it in ways that don't sound so gay. Like seriously, so I don't sound like a fucking wook all the time. I could at least be a dick about it, because people could understand a dick. People could understand arrogance in a dick. But at the same time, if that arrogant dick could embody spiritual benefits, then they could at least like listen to what he has to fucking say, because you know there's something going on then. You know, so that's like my strategy about it. I'm like, look, I don't care if you have to hear it from fucking crystal wook head or some fucking like yogic instructor or some asshole like me. I want it to be that universal. I want it to be this thing where it's like anybody, you know, anybody, no matter what walk of life you come from, can engage with this thing and make your life better. You know, whether it's like ranges from like, you know, just doing martial arts or exercise, eating better, or semen retention, or like shadow work. I think shadow work is the biggest thing for all of us. I think
shadow work sounds like the most appealing thing, but
it's not appealing because it's really difficult. If it sounds appealing, like you take for granted how not pleasant the process is.
Well, I mean, I think it sounds appealing in the sense that it's direct. Like, you know, you're just addressing the bad parts. Ha ha ha, got him. Right?
No, but that's the trick. Like the whole reason why it's like they frame it that way. So you think like, oh, I'll just, you know, and then you fall down that slippery slope, and then you go through like, you immediately either hit your wall or you break that wall and have your existential crisis, and then you come back up better. You know, like that's the whole point.
Do you think most people come back up better from an existential crisis? I think sometimes doesn't work.
It's necessary for maturity. First of all, everyone goes through it no matter what.
Sure, but I'm saying I don't think everyone successfully goes through it.
I mean, it's not about like, look, it's not about successfully going through it. The point is you're meant to go through it. Regardless of how you react to it, it's a part of life.
Sure.
So it's really up to you to make it like what your reaction. That's why you shouldn't react. You should respond. You know, it's not about how you react. It's about how you respond to something.
What's the difference?
Intention.
So you're saying react is like unconscious and response is conscious?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair.
So it's like if you could consciously respond to things. I mean, I also say like, and this pisses people off too, where I would be like, you can never control what happens to you. You can only control how you respond.
To some degree, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't control everything that happens.
You really can't control anything that happens to you.
I think you control.
You can influence it. You can influence it, but you can never control it.
No, I mean,
yes,
like anything that has to do with you, I think you could control.
No, you can only respond. You can only control how you respond to things.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's going to be a semantic argument.
Well,
because like if you respond appropriately, isn't that control?
Well, it all starts with the day you were born, right? Like the day you were born, you weren't in control of that. It just you weren't in conscious control of that. It just kind of happened in your purview of like reality vision. But then like one thing led to another, and it was just like you responding to the fact that you were born. And what did you do? You cried, you were scared, whatever. And then someone comforted you. You responded to that comfort, and then eventually like you responded to the food that was offered you. You responded to the crib. You responded to the time and experience that was presented before you. And then you responded to the trauma and the violence that you witnessed in real life. You responded to. It was all about how you responded.
Well, I mean, I feel like you mean to say react, given the dichotomy you established earlier.
Unconsciously responding, which is reacting, yes.
Yeah.
But when you start responding instead of reacting, that's when you start to like.
That's what I'm getting at.
Become sovereign. You know, that's when you start to become like more
higher level.
Yeah. Ascended, I guess.
So you become based.
Ascended. Which is all good, you know, and this is like why I think like I like that like assholes like me could talk about this, because this I don't want. First of all, like I've said this probably plenty of times, I would never want any kind of spiritual followers or anything like that. Like that's like the weirdest thing to me, you know, like because like, I've surfed like a lot of YouTube about this shit, and like there's like whole cults, you know, of course there's like cults and shit, and I've explored the cults, like because that's one thing like I don't think it should be. I don't think it should ever be an exclusive thing. Like all the benefits that come from like any kind of traditions or practices, spiritual practices, should be made universal to me. It should, to me, if it's that good, and it is good from my firsthand experience, regardless of what walk of life you come from, whether you're a billionaire or whether you're a poor person, if this could elevate your life experience, regardless of where you are and who you are, I think it's worth being made universal. And I think what's insidious is the fact that it's almost hidden. The fact that it's occult, to me, is very strange.
I
and
agree.
that's worth investigating. That's what pisses me off, actually.
I feel that.
I feel really upset at the fact that shit like this is almost like, first of all, there's the cultural strategy psyop, which is you got to ridicule this shit. You got to make this look stupid.
Yeah.
You know, because that's gonna first of all detract like casuals from ever diving in. And if they break past that, then you got to use all sorts of tactics to just convince the rational minded person that all this shit is just
I mean, this is all just the roots of modernism, in my opinion.
But I feel like there's just certain. It's almost like the people at the top know the game, and then they're just like, we can't let them know.
No,
this game.
I don't think it's a people at the top thing. I think it's just, once we had the capability to solve material issues, we just got really addicted to it, and kind of gave up the metaphysical.
But you know what? Then we made all right. So fair enough. You're arguing that we made ourselves blind, which I agree with. We made ourselves blind, but then the people at the top still saw that, and then they were like, "We got to take advantage of this."
I don't know if they did or didn't. I think a lot of people who took advantage of it, it was incidental, because
cult leaders, presidents.
Well, even someone
emperors.
like Hitler, right?
Yeah.
Like,
he was definitely had a higher consciousness.
No, because I think fascism and communism were spiritual movements on a very deep level.
Yes, you're right. Because it concerned itself with the meaning of your existence and your efforts.
But I also think that was incidental. I don't think either Hitler or Lenin or Stalin or Trotsky or Marx intended to make a spiritual movement.
I agree. It's just like my own spiritual awakening it wasn't.
Yeah, I thought
I get it. I get what you mean. It's not. It wasn't like a premeditated event in
Well, I don't even think they thought of themselves maybe Hitler thought of himself as a spiritual thing, but because he was an artist. But I don't think I think Marx was legitimately thinking economics when he came up with communism.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's ultimately a spiritual thing to have equality amongst the people.
I agree. And but that idea, like any other idea, evil, good or bad, can be exploited for material ends.
Well, I mean, technically speaking, the common link amongst all those things is what's called, about emenetizing the echeton?
No.
Okay, it's a weird ass word. It basically means to try to bring about heaven on earth.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of movements like communism or fascism,
utopia.
Yeah, wanted to bring about utopia, heaven on earth, right?
Yeah.
And that's a very tempting prospect for people who lack religiosity and spirituality. Well, it's unattainable.
Oh, yeah,
and
you're right. And also the problem is everyone's idea of utopia is very, very different.
Well, I feel like the fundamental trap is if you believe in infinite gain, you are willing to pay infinite cost, right? So if you gotta kill tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people to attain utopia, it almost feels like it's worth it.
But that's not the real issue here. The real problem is honestly
that's
not
a pretty serious issue in my opinion, but okay.
No, that's a macro issue, right?
Okay.
But I think the macro is held up by the. So if you were to condense that into the individual experience, the problem you just stated, which is what basically,
you lack spirituality.
No. What you were just describing.
But I'm not sure what you're getting at.
No, what were you just saying about
bringing heaven on earth? Utopia?
Yeah, there's a problem with that, right? Because it's unattainable.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, I'm saying, let's say it was attainable, right? How
it'll never be attainable because every individual's idea of heaven is supposedly different, right?
True, but you don't think about that.
That's one problem. So okay, there you go. So you just stated the problem without even thinking about it. The real problem is it's an individual issue. If you go to any given if you walk up to any person and you tell them walk up to them, it's if your life could be anything right now, what would it be? Do you know how long it would take them to imagine it? You would think most people know exactly what they want. You
No.
would think most people like would, if given the option, know exactly what kind of house they would live in, exactly what country they would live in, exactly the kind of partner they would be with, exactly the kind of kids they would have, exactly the kind of, you know, all the shit they would have. Like you would think that a person, like considering everyone wants you would think that any given person would know their ideal reality that they're working towards.
Well, no.
But you go up to any person, they have no fucking idea. You'd be surprised.
I would argue it's even weirder than that, because what you described is, you know, just fundamentally informed by society.
Yeah.
Right? Like what kind of house you want, big. What kind of girl you want, supermodel.
Yeah.
How much money you want, a ton.
Yeah, but
right? Like,
if you tell them to go into detail, it's like, all right, what does that mean? Like, what kind of supermodel? Like, what color hair does she have?
Well,
like, what color eyes does she have? How tall is she? What's her build? And what's like, what color car? Like, what color car? Like, what kind of build? What kind of model? You know, what make?
No, but I'm saying, like, it's not even like your desire. Like, the desire itself comes from society and status.
No, you know, but you should think more on your desires. So look, that's
agree.
exactly what I'm. Even if your desires are loosely informed by society, so what? Yeah, we all want houses, we all want cars. That's normal. Yeah,
well, I don't think it's normal. Like,
why?
Well, first off, cars didn't exist except for the last like.
But if
200 years.
if cars exist, then yeah, it's okay to want cars. That's fine.
No,
if houses exist, it's okay to want houses. But I'm saying it's like most people, if you tell them, it's like you're not going to get what you want if you just think you want like a loose shape of what it is. If you're not able to like literally tell me in detail and paint.
No, but I think I disagree. Even if
no,
they could,
no, people underestimate you. Like you can't. Just
I mean,
brush
okay.
that off.
I shouldn't say I disagree. Like, I think there is a point to what you're getting at. But I'm saying, like,
the reason
all
why
you're
can't
doing,
get it, if your vision, if your ideal is so nebulous and like misty, it's so easily shaped and shifted, and therefore your focus shifts and gets shaped.
But I think even if you can imagine it concretely, what you're fundamentally doing is kind of reifying social signals into like concrete objects.
Here's why I think the process is good. So if you can concretely, in detail, visualize your ideal life, right?
Okay.
And let's say you're not a complete idiot, because if you're able to do that, you're at least smart enough to conjure things out of like, you know, that's creation happening. In your head. No, let me finish.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So you're able to do that. If you do that and you identify all those things as stuff you desire, these detailed things, right? Very quickly, you start to do what? If you're smart, if you're smart enough to like, you know, vividly imagine your ideals and desires in the world that you want to live in, if you're able to do that, then you're eventually going to say, then what kind of person do I need to become to have that? Like, what do I need to be? Who am I supposed to be? Because who I am now clearly cannot have that. Otherwise I would have it. Okay. So then who do I have to become? And then like, let's say, all right, let me finish. You decide, you start thinking about these things. You're like, all right, this is who I have to become to get this, and this, and this. And then if you think about it enough, eventually you're going to be like, well, you start coming across compromises that you have to make in your character and and like the beliefs you currently hold. Are you willing to let go of these current beliefs that are holding you from becoming that person? Like from taking the necessary steps to get those things. Are you willing to let those parts of yourself go? You know, are you willing to like literally let go of your old self to become this new self? And that's like in itself a very powerful thing. Like, are you willing to do that? Like, are you willing to change your entire framework of being to become a whole new being at your will, at your higher will? This is why you have to raise your consciousness so you could easily move the lower facets of, you know, your lower bodies to be able to like align to what you want. You have to see the bigger picture, and it's what you're willing to sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice your friendships, your relationships, maybe even your ties to your family to like literally enter this new you to get this reality you want? It's what you're willing to do, and that's all about where you place your attention, where you place your focus, and you're focusing changing yourself and your ability to. And here's the deal, what we just started talking about, these desires, yes, they were very shallow things. Big house, car, hot bitch. Okay, yeah, that's very shallow. But I think once a person discovers they have the power to shift their like one self to another self to align their reality, I think that alone is powerful enough to like open someone's mind to more possibilities. Like, do I just have to be this fucking guy who just wants this bullshit? Like, what else might I want? If I'm able to get this, maybe I want to help other people. Because I remember what it was like being that piece of shit. Maybe I want to help that piece of shit. Or maybe, you know what? Maybe I want to see how far the other way I can go.
Okay.
Maybe, you know, it's like,
I kind of have to disagree. Okay, you just said a lot, so I'm gonna have to think about it. But no, you're right in the sense of like, what do you have to give up? But the problem is, like I said, the desires might be like a trick, right?
Because I'm saying it's not about the desires. That's the wrong focus. The idea is in that practice of becoming a person who's able to get your desires. Oh shit! If I could become this person to get that bullshit, what else can I become to get what else?
No,
you know,
but
so
that
like, can I be a person to stop killings? Can I be a person to like influence people to save their own lives?
Generally speaking, in the modern world, I have not seen it work that way.
What do you mean?
Like, I feel like a lot of people just get trapped in kind of like a materialistic state.
Do you know how many people like find God and be like, you know what, I'm gonna give up smoking crack and I'm gonna volunteer at this homeless shelter and serve soup every day? And you know how many people I've seen do that? Like,
I don't actually, but okay.
All right, look at like how like narcotic recovery programs work. Like, it's literally former addicts who save their own lives. And
no, but that's different than like
how is
someone.
That different? It's like the same concept, you know?
No, I'm saying like someone who like changes themselves to become like a billionaire. Right, and get like the hot girl in the big car, right? Like a big house, rather.
But that's up to you if that's your focus.
No, but I'm saying that's precisely the issue. I feel like
that's not going to be. Yeah, but you're assuming that's what everyone's focus would be. It wouldn't.
No, all right. I'm just talking about the hypothetical example in which case that is the focus.
But I'm saying that focus is going to shift. It's not about that focus. It's in the process of getting that.
But it doesn't always shift. I don't think it's inherent that it shifts.
It does.
But then how do we have billionaires?
What do you mean?
Like.
First of all, circumstances. I think people could be born into billionaire families.
No, but I'm saying like the previous person, like, you know, if you, I think it's like, you know, an overly focused life on materialism comes from a lack of spirituality because you never feel like you have enough. Right, so you're trying to like attain all these social symbols.
No, look,
to kind of like
I'm saying
prove
it's just the only limits that you're talking about come from not thinking it through. Let's say you want to be a billionaire. All right,
I
agree. If you want to start with that thing, then let's dive deep into that. It's like, all right, if you want to be a billionaire and a person thought like deeply into that, what do I have to do to get $1 billion? Well, first I have to get millions of dollars. How do I get millions of dollars? I have to get hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I mean, okay, so you're correct in they don't think about it deeply enough sense. But you're like, it would literally be a depth question, right?
No,
like if you only think deeply to a point.
The problem is most people don't actually want to be billionaires. What they actually want is the experiences that billionaires have. They don't actually want to be billionaires because they don't understand that to be a billionaire, you have to worry about all this shit. You have to worry about kidnapping insurance. You have to worry about who staffs your mansion.
Fine.
They think they don't want to actually be they think they want the upsides. Yeah, they just want the benefits of being a billionaire. That's the problem. It's not a problem of desire. It's a problem of conception of desire.
Yeah, but
how we conceive of other people's desires and how they conceive of their own desires. Like I said, they just don't think deeply enough about it.
I agree, but I'm saying like it's even worse than that because I do think, you know, if they get there and they get all those things, like I'm not sure if that actually makes them feel better in the way that they thought they would.
You're right. It wouldn't.
Right.
So that's why they have to think deeply on it, and then they come to the realization.
But they don't.
First of all,
but they don't think deeply. They're just like, we could just do more of this. We could just do more of that, right? Like billion's not enough. Let's get trillion. Let's get 100 billion, million. You know, billions more, whatever. Like,
I mean, look, I think like this is why I like looking at life through a spiritual lens because then it suddenly becomes less about dollars and more about actual wealth, right?
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying like if you start thinking like my ideal life is, you know, all super materialistic.
But you know there are cases because first of all, being a billionaire is rare in itself.
Sure.
And there are people who got spiritual and then became billionaires.
I have not seen that.
What about Oprah?
I don't think Oprah's spiritual.
Are you serious? Oprah's like huge on like The Secret and the Law of Attraction, all that shit.
Yeah, but like I don't think she herself is a spiritual being. I think she's materialistic.
Okay, so let's look at
and she's abusing spirituality.
All right, so spirituality, right? Let's forget that word. What about just the term raising consciousness, right?
I don't think Oprah raises consciousness.
Are you serious?
I do not.
First of all, do you think only good
guys... Okay, to be fair, I have not watched a lot of Oprah.
I just want to ask you, do you think only good guys raise consciousness? Like, do you think like evil people aren't capable of raising consciousness too?
I agree. They are.
So I think that's what Oprah is. I think Oprah is one of those cases where she's like an evil being who is capable of raising consciousness and being able to manipulate masses and gain material. This is what I think spiritual billionaires are. They're evil people who raise consciousness. They're like they raise their consciousness enough, but they didn't do the right thing with it.
Well,
you
no,
know?
I don't think it's a consciousness raising.
I do think it's a consciousness raising. 'Cause
Okay.
if people's consciousness levels are all about survival mode and like bills and whatever, and you're able to raise your consciousness to be above that and operate at a higher level.
Okay, the problem is you're focusing exclusively on consciousness. I don't think
That's where it all
spirituality. No, I don't think spirituality. Like I said earlier, not in this conversation. Spirituality is kind of an umbrella, and consciousness is like one facet of the umbrella, right? Like I think a sense of belonging, a sense of status, a sense of achievement. Those are all conscious.
All right, so this is why I said
those are all
forget
status.
spirituality.
Yeah,
This is why I
those are all
said just
spiritual.
focus on raising consciousness, which in and of itself is a skill.
Right, but like, how can you simultaneously raise consciousness and become more of a follower?
What do you mean?
Like, don't those things seem contradictory?
No, we're talking about transfer of energy. If you're able to control attention,
Yeah.
people's attention, and focus it on you,
Yeah.
and you know how to channel and transmute that attention into your own material gain, that's an example of your consciousness being higher than the masses and being able to
Yes.
manipulate it.
But I'm saying, like, are you doing the masses a favor?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think in a certain level, it is a certain level of exchange. Maybe you're the one who wins out. Like, maybe for every exchange, they get fucked 1%. But if there's many, many millions and millions of exchanges happening, that's like, that's all like, that adds up, you know? Like,
Well, okay, I will say, I think it's like a give a man a fish, teach a man to fish analogy, right?
okay.
Like,
And she's just giving out fishes.
yeah, she's literally giving out.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
And
like,
that's why they keep coming back for fishes.
yeah, it's like, I
But
am your
that's-
source of fish
But
now.
that's still an act of like raised wisdom being like.
I don't
using to
think it's
explore-
raised. I think real raised wisdom is teaching to fish, right? Like,
it depends on how you frame it. Like, what's your goal? Her goal wasn't to like help people.
I don't know what her goal was.
Her goal is to be a dominant figure in the fucking media.
I don't know. I literally do not know much.
I'm just judging her by
about-
what she did, which is become a dominant fucking figure in the media with a lot of work and time.
Yeah, but like, for all you know, she may have had good intentions, but that's where the shadow self comes in, right?
Yeah.
Like, you may be like, I'm helping people, I'm giving them all these fishes, right? Like, how am I not helping them? Like, who else is giving them these fishes? They're not getting these fishes from anywhere else. Like, I'm a good person.
But I just think it's interesting how like Oprah was like, you know, of all people was like, yep, you know, like the secret is, and like she doesn't say like,
Wait,
and it's
what's
like,
the
oh yeah,
secret?
all you got to do is just sit there and stare at your vision board and good things will happen. She was like, no, like she knew the deal. She was like, you got to, as an individual, align yourself with the reality that you want. If you claim you want a reality and you really want that reality, then you have to truly align yourself.
Okay, like, I'm out of my depth when it comes to Oprah. Like, I really did not ever watch her.
All right, but can you at least identify with the concept of aligning like mind, body, and soul to reflect the reality?
Yeah,
that you
of
want?
course.
It's like tuning a radio.
Yes.
You know, it's like all the stations are playing at once. It's just like which frequency are you tuned to? That's the one
Yeah.
your consciousness is going to experience.
Right.
And
That's
and
fine.
like your frequency is a combination of like the state of your mental state, your bodily state, your health, you know, physical health, and then your like spiritual identity and how you like view yourself as a spiritual being, you know?
Yeah.
So if you're able to tackle those three things, then you could consider yourself a fully conscious being that's able to experience different frequencies of reality consciously and willfully.
All right. I would agree with that.
But
I
here's
feel like there's more to it after that. But
yeah, of course. I think there's a bunch of shit that we don't understand. Here's another thing I've been playing with, quantum thinking, like quantum self-perception. I wrote about this before, where I was like, to be able to share thoughts with your past, present, and future selves. I think is very possible.
I want to call that quantum, but fine.
What would you call it?
I don't know.
Like non-linear self-perception is what I like to call it.
That I like that better.
Non-linear self-perception involves sharing thoughts with your past, present, and future selves. And people will be like, that sounds ridiculous. How the fuck could you ever
No,
do
I
that?
feel like it's pretty straightforward.
Yes, it is very straightforward. For example, you know, to communicate with your future self, you do futures for your future self. Write yourself notes, give yourself gifts, do yourself favors, do tasks that your future self would have to do that your present self could do. So your future self could be like, oh, thanks, you know, whatever. Whereas, and then how to communicate with your past self is, you know, first of all, you say sorry, you say thank you, you know, you appreciate your past self better.
You could also say, "What the fuck was that?" But
Well, okay, you could learn from your past self.
Yeah.
Like there's basically you have to align it. And also another neat thing is once you practice this, your present self eventually becomes your past self, who's projecting communication to. So that bond
you're a coherent, linear,
non-linear entity.
Well, like you're not linear to be linear.
You're basically crossing different barriers of your presence within the timeline, which I think is a fascinating. I love it. I think it's fucking awesome.
You get off on that.
Don't you think it's cool though? Come on, it's fucking cool.
I agree. I'm not as hard on for it as you are.
No, but it's fun. It's fun to be able to understand this idea because I think that's key to evolution in humans.
Okay.
I think if everyone could think like that.
I mean, I think it's just good. I think it's just being good, right? But
well, I mean, but no one ever frames it that way, where it's like, yeah,
that's just one aspect, but yes.
And then that's going to lead into you being able to not just communicate with your past, present, and future selves, but different future selves or different past selves. It's like this. That's where it gets a little more advanced. Where it's like, oh shit, how deep is this going to go with your ability to communicate with parallel yous? That you could explore and make real to your will if you're willing to let it get that deep. And branched out. Which is crazy because it's all a mental art. It's all a mental art, which is simultaneously real but all in your head.
I mean, yeah.
If you believe in an infinite universe, that is.
I'm gonna bring it back slightly
to semen retention. All right, back to saving or cum.
No, okay. What are the things that you will bust for? Where are you okay, this is the time where I released it. You know
what? I'm not serious about it, but I think it would be really funny if I say I'm never gonna come again until I want to make a baby.
That's fair.
That baby would be a super
accumulated,
super dense sperm fucking baby.
but you don't know if it's gonna get the girl pregnant, right? You could bust and it'll just be a bust.
Yeah, no, that's true. You never know. And it's also funny.
And then you gotta be okay, here's the leftovers for the next 30 times.
It's also funny because you're I don't know, it's just you think about how if you could wait for the right time, the right cycle and maybe the right moon cycle,
well, but what else is that it, just kids or no, that's it? That's all you got?
No, that's not what I would actually bust for. I don't know what I would bust for. I think I would bust for the right girl. If the right girl came along and
if she had a hot face and titties, you'd be I'm busting those titties.
You know what the problem is? I think I have to really sit down and figure out who my ideal partner is because I don't have a clear picture of that.
Well, hold on. Just because you're busting doesn't mean they're your ideal partner. I'm not saying it's got to go that far. Or
no,
does it?
It's just no. I think the idea is I don't care about busting really, and it's if I did give a shit about it, then which I don't. Okay. The only thing that would really make me give a shit about it would be something that makes me give a shit about it, what could be more important to me than what I've already got going on, just to sit there and say, whoa, I kind of want to stick my penis in that, or I want to get close to that person where it's sticking my penis and then would be involved in the relationship I share with that person. It's what kind of person would that be? I have to.
So you're saying you'd bust for love?
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
No, nothing.
I don't know. Maybe I'll
it's
just.
almost cliche though.
I mean, I stopped counting days. My experiment is over. Maybe tomorrow I'll just be you know what? I'm just gonna jack off. I don't give a shit. It's fine.
True.
I'm not held to I already finished my my challenge. So.
Right. Well.
I mean, 30 days is a lot.
I never. If you want, we can do semen retention podcast, half year, full year anniversary, depending on how far you make it.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
You know what? I'm just I'm still waiting because I'm still trying to. I guess I'm still experimenting. I'm still testing things out. I'm still testing my state. And I like it.
Right.
I like the state I'm in. I don't think any problems have been coming up.
Well, I mean, I will say, in my experience, when you do finally bust, you're gonna want to do it a bunch of times. I've not seen it be okay, one time I'm gonna keep it going. It's usually you're just I'm gonna do this for a week.
It's mad funny. No, I don't.
It's kind of like a binge,
See, that's exactly what I don't like. I don't like the fact that people would waste time on that. That's exactly what I'm trying to avoid.
Look, I'm just saying that's how it tends to play out in my experience. like personally.
That's not for me. Like I don't know. I just don't
Good.
really. Yeah, I just don't
Fucking
really.
go for it then. I don't know. I'm just pointing out that would be.
It's also
an
a
issue.
self-esteem thing. Like I just don't like myself as a person who
Bust.
who jacks it. You know.
Yeah.
I don't mind being a person who fucks all the time, but I also understand that fucking all the time means having at least maintaining some semblance of a relationship with a girl or two.
I don't know, man. So I feel like a lot of people just like, mutual fleshlight each other.
No, I don't want. I mean,
yeah, that's a thing for sure.
But that still takes time. That still takes energy. That still takes allocated.
Yes, I agree. It's better than using. It's more noble than just using your hand. Fine.
It still takes like what.
I don't know, man. Like I've definitely seen people that got that like down to an art form, right? Like I think there's like a mutual fleshlight community kind of. Probably uses a lot of dating apps.
But I just I also maybe it's the fact that I appreciate that I could do without a human fleshlight in my life. Like maybe I'm good with that. Maybe I'm good without it. Like.
Well, I'm saying, like, if you want to be with a person, you should be with them. Like, you should want to be with them not just for sexual purposes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, a lot of the people who just, like, hook up, basically, it's kind of like human fleshlight culture, right? They're like, oh, we find each other on the app, we, like, bust and, like, come, and then we, like... either don't talk to each other or like only talk to each other for that purpose type shit.
Yeah, but that's like kind of hard to do because usually
it is, but people succeed in my opinion.
It's usually the guys who are like in shape, have a lot of money, good looking, status.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're not like addicted to that sort of thing.
Of course they're addicted, but they're the ones who like are the ones who even have that option to be able to use people as fleshlights.
Well,
other guys, normal guys, have to like fucking like use like give up like resources for that kind of intimate connection, like physical connection with a woman. They have to like pay for shit. They have to pay for stuff. They have to pay time, which is actually more valuable than money. They have to actually take the time out to build a connection with them.
If they don't view themselves as valuable, if they don't have better things to do, then their time is not valuable.
Yeah. Which goes back to what I was saying. Like everything works out if you just align mind, body, and soul. If you align your body with your mind and your soul, and they're all geared, working harmoniously with each other, then everything's gonna fall into place. Whether it's women, whether it's money, whether it's, I mean, it's true. I don't know how else to put it because there's no point in believing otherwise. In my opinion, there's just no point.
I mean, I think it's a good concept, but to execute on it in practice, it probably takes a lot more concepts.
That's fucked up because we're just talking about 3 simple things.
They're not simple. I don't believe they're simple.
What's not simple about mind, body, and soul?
The actual execution of the alignment.
How, in your opinion, because everyone's gonna have different. Why? How would you execute aligning mind, body, and soul?
I wouldn't even know.
Really?
No.
Like you never thought about it?
I did.
And so then, like, what would you like if you were just give me like a vague draft of like a model of how someone would?
I feel like a lot of it would come down to truth. Like you'd be really honest, I guess. A lot of it would come down to discipline.
Yeah.
Right? Like because your truth
has to be embodied.
Yeah, you have to act. That would be, I guess truth would be the mind, discipline would be the body. I don't know what the soul component would be.
Faith, hope, love.
Okay, interesting.
Trust, like faith, hope, like things that make you vulnerable.
Okay. I like that.
That's soul. That's spirit shit. It's the stuff that makes you like really emotionally vulnerable.
All right, so I guess you'd be honest, disciplined,
sincere.
And sincere.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with that. There you go. Still hard to do though.
But
discipline is hard. Truth is hard.
If you think about it, they strengthen each other.
Yes.
If your body's strong, you could defend yourself physically. If your mind is strong, you could defend yourself intellectually. If your spirit is strong, you could defend yourself emotionally.
Yeah.
Like if your spirit is strong, fine, break my heart. I'll be fine because I love myself. I'll be okay.
Right.
As long as I put my faith into something that I believed in, but it's okay. I got my heart broken. Fine. I don't mind having it happen over and over again. I could take it. If your body's strong, I feel
like at that point your issue would be your mind, not your.
If your body's strong, then you could be like, you know what? So what if someone tries to poke fun at me for my vulnerabilities? I don't care. I could still beat beat the fuck out of them. Like, I know this. So therefore, it's like, I know that I'm letting them live. And that's a benevolent feeling. You know, that's a very, no, but that's the benefit of strengthening your body. And then if you strengthen your mind, it's like, okay, I have discernment. I'm at least able to discern that, like, you know, like, 1 + 1 = 2. What this guy's selling me is bullshit. This is a negative deal for me. If I'm able to defend myself mentally and intellectually, then I won't get fucked on that end. So it's like, like, if you're able to align those 3 things to be like helpful to each other, you become like a really powerful person. Am I wrong? Like,
yeah, but like, I'm just saying it's not easy. Like,
but it's worth it. It's to me, that's the most important game.
It is worth it.
That's the most important game of life. Like, what else should you focus on other than aligning those 3 things? That should be your main purpose right now. Like, everyone, for myself included, you know, like.
On the one hand, yes, but on the other hand, that's like a very abstract concept.
I guess it's really just a solidifying will, if anything, like an intent.
Right, but I feel like, I don't know. Like, you can solidify intent, but I feel like you need something to point your intent towards.
Which is
beyond pure intent.
So I covered this before.
I guess you could turn inward and just say, I want to have mastery over myself.
There's a ratio, service to self versus service to others. And I always say a good ratio is 51% service to others, 49% service to self. It's like the perfect tip.
That's really precise, but okay.
But not really. Like, I think it's pretty vague enough where it's 50-50, but not really, you know?
Okay, just a little more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just do a little more for others than you do for yourself. But you'll be fine. As long as you do that, if you look at everyone just a little bit for others, we'll all be fine. I swear to God. Like, think about it. It works. It fucking works.
I can believe it. Yeah.
If everyone in the world just did like 51% for others, you know, like we would all be gravy. We would all be so good. Because if you help yourself, as long as you don't help yourself too much, but if you do help yourself as much as you help others, pretty much, you will be great. And if we just help a little bit more others than we help ourselves at that point, then we'll be amazing. Like, it will be
okay.
You know?
Oh, yeah, I feel that. I don't disagree.
So this is why I think, like, you know, if you want to solve the problem you were just saying, it's like, what is that directed towards? Well, this is where it comes down to how much of what you do is service to self and how much of what you do is service to others.
Okay, so that's a good thing, but it's also pretty high level, right? Like, how do you know what is one and or the other? Right, like, how do you know, or like, why would you even want to serve others, or why would you want to serve yourself?
Love, and also because you understand that we're all connected.
Yeah, but you gotta get that first.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the hard part.
To understand that we're all connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard and it's easy at the same time. This is what I said before. It's like so easy, it's difficult.
Exactly.
It's really difficult because of how easy.
Like, on the one hand,
it's deceptively simple.
Yeah, on the one hand, you always know it. On the other hand, you like.
There's so many factors and material factors that's like making you forget it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, we're all connected, but this guy like smells like piss and he called you a fucking like douchebag, you know, and you don't even know him. Of course you're going to hate his guts. You know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. He violated you in like multiple senses.
Yeah. Wait, how much time has it been, by the way?
I don't know, but I'm ready to keep talking a bit. We still got a little
Well, then I want to go pee. So
all right, right now we are at an hour and a half. You can go pee.
Damn. Okay, this is a while.
Nah, the last episode I did was a little longer. Anyway, go pee. I'll hold the fort down. I'll hold the story down. I'm just chilling here. You better be quick. Make it a fast. You gotta make it a fast pee. An FP. Right now, my cat's just staring at me from the couch. He looks really cute. Got a cute little cat. His name is Mochi. You've probably seen him on cam, here and there, just a few times. Looking all cute. Actually, I don't know if he's cute. I would say he's more of a handsome cat. Like, he knows I'm talking about him. Like, the top half of his face is gray. The bottom half of his face is white. The bottom half of his entire body is actually white. He does kind of look like a mochi with the leaf on top, if you've ever seen that, or like the odd colored top half of a rice cake with a red bean filling. And Mochi does sometimes feel like he's just filled with like warm, gooey red bean paste. He's like a blob sometimes, you know, like a warm, organic squishmallow. That's not to say he's fat, but maybe he might get fat because he's a dry food fiend. I mean, I give him wet foods. I give him this broth. Well, it's this packet that has like actual meat strips and vegetables and broth, and he just like licks the broth and totally wastes the solids in the packet. I gotta experiment some more and like maybe mix and match like the topping parts with like. I know he doesn't like pate. He's not a pate boy. I've seen him eat shreds before he would eat pate, but lately he just likes this broth shit. He likes this fucking fishy broth, which, you know what, like, that's fine. That's really what he's supposed to get out of wet foods anyway, like the protein juices, the protein fluids, and so he could like get the different kind of nutrients that dry food fails to offer. I was just explaining how my cat eats.
Hell yeah. Okay, so the topic of the podcast is now piss retention.
No.
Should you retain piss? No, you should not. It feels fucking bad. You should let your piss out whenever you feel like.
Yeah. So so now the only question is like, what am I going to do with all of my research material? I have 30 days of daily video logs.
Oh yeah, that's right. You Lily chronicled.
I also have the written reports. You know what I should do? Maybe I should do a documentary.
Dude, that's how much energy you had that you could literally just chronicle yourself fucking doing it.
Yeah, maybe I'll show you the videos. I could show you day one.
No, I'm not gonna.
Like day one, I looked all drained. It's like I just had sex with a woman.
I feel like you should have reviewed them for this and then like mentioned them.
And then day 30.
Because I'm not gonna like sit there and watch you talk about retaining semen.
No,
30
you're right.
days worth.
No, they're all.
I mean, okay, if you post it, I'm sure someone will do it.
All the video logs.
I'm not gonna do it.
The
now.
daily video logs are like a minute and a half each, or a minute and 15 seconds. It's like they're not long.
Okay.
It's just they just talk about my physical, mental, and psychological, physical, mental, and emotional state.
That's good.
You know, that's all they do. So it's just for 30 days. So what I'm gonna do is
you can compile them.
Yeah, that's what I'll just compile them all into one video and post them.
Taste.
You know what though? Like maybe I could save them for a documentary instead. Like literally make a documentary about semen retention.
Well, I feel like you'd need a lot of B-roll at that point.
What?
You need a lot of B-roll.
What's B-roll?
Like, you know, you showing yourself like doing things besides.
Oh. No, I was thinking about going out and like interviewing people about semen retention.
Oh.
Like different maybe religious people, maybe
okay.
Doctors, feminists, like women, men,
okay,
like,
well, let me know. I will.
Children. Like,
I will discuss some of these concepts.
But then again, it's like who would I even interview for that?
Children.
Sort of thing? Would I even want to include?
Like, you go to a 4-year-old, like, what do you think about semen retention? Like my ship has 30 semen.
Like what I want to include. You know what? Maybe I'll find that one golden person to interview. Like not only am I a Buddhist, but I'm also a physicist, and I'm also a biologist, and I'm also a spiritual practitioner. You know, like.
Okay, I actually know of a person like that. Yeah.
And a semen retainer?
I don't know about that, but they are literally a Buddhist and a physicist, and what all the other things you said.
A physician.
No, they're not a physician.
Okay,
they're a physicist.
A Buddhist, a physician.
No, you said physicist.
Yeah,
physician.
but I meant a physician. So.
Okay, I don't know any Buddhist physicians.
Physicians make a lot of money, don't they?
I probably.
Relative. Dude, physician is like, I think to me that's like knowing C+ in doctor, in the programming language of C in doctor. You know, like.
C doesn't pay that much. As a person who actually programs in C, it does not pay that much.
I'm not talking about monetary value. I'm talking about like knowledge value.
I don't know anything about physicians either, honestly. Like, what do they do?
Physicians?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they just know the body.
All doctors know the body.
You know what? You're right. What the fuck does a physician do? Because like it sounds like there's a lot of prestige in that type of doctor, right? Like
I don't know. Dude, I'm so bad with like doctor statuses.
Like, how prestigious is a physician?
Dude, I know they're like, oh, like, a nurse practitioner is better than like a nurse something else. And I'm like, what?
A resident nurse?
I don't know. Like, they all have like weird terms. I don't keep track of the terms.
You know what's actually fascinating? Military rank.
Oh, fuck that shit too. I don't have time to keep track of people's like bullshit hierarchies.
No, you're right. I don't care about the hierarchical rank. You know what I do like though? I get interested in how they segment forces. Like how many troops are in a squad? How many troops are in a fire team? How many troops are in a platoon? How many troops are in a battalion? How many troops are in a division or whatever? Like I like how it's divided. Because that traces back to ancient times, right? Since you had like
hierarchies, yeah.
Yeah, since you had like no, I mean like if you look at like the way ancient armies were like divided, they had like legions, they had corps, they had
fine. I don't know. I feel like it's just an intuitive way to have top-down control.
But the top-down control was good because like soldiers who did have that hierarchy survived battles, while the soldiers who didn't ended up getting their fucking heads stuck on a pike.
Well, yeah, until guerrilla warfare, at least.
Well, guerrilla warfare only came into its own when technology came into play, which is really the tipping point of warfare.
No, I feel like, okay, technically speaking, if you want to dig a fucking spike pit, you could have done that in many, many different eras. And yet people only really, utilized it in the recent times.
No, I was talking about spike pits. I just mean winning battles. Like you lose a battle, you get your head chopped off and stuck on a spike. Like I just mean like the idea of back then, like it's the more organized army usually won. Especially even smaller armies that were more organized were able to beat.
Well, yeah, guerrilla is even more organized than like a centralized thing.
Well, that's the thing. Like guerrilla is like where the scale became even more asymmetrical. Where
Yes.
like a fire team of 4 could like take down like 30
Yeah, and they could.
Yeah. And like that's when technology comes into play. It's like, yo, we got suppressors, we got explosives, we got jamming tech, we got we got drones.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, all that. Yeah, I don't know.
You know what's weird? I really do think like military dudes these days almost look at it like a sport.
Look at what?
Like operators, like whether
look at what though, like warfare.
Like engagements and like operations, like all right. So
I don't know.
An operation is like think about it like a project, like not like a product or whatever. Just like being a project manager, you're the op manager. It's like what's the purpose of this project? Well, for what we're going to do is we're going to try to vandalize this corporate sculpture to make it roll down and crash right into this cafe. That's the operation. We're going to make a statement.
Okay.
So it's like, all right, first of all, what's important? OPSEC. We all have to make sure our identities don't get leaked to the wrong people in this whole thing. We got to gather resources, and what resources do we need? Who can we trust to get these resources? What about intel? Who do we know that works security in the area? All this stuff. And then, like that's how these operations
I wouldn't
work.
call that a military person.
No, but I'm saying this is how they treat operations is like projects. That's what they are. They're like, it's like, all right.
I don't disagree with that.
Like
but
we got this.
When has that ever not been the case?
Exactly. Yeah, that's just the most logical way to do it, right?
I mean, I feel like if you're gonna systematically achieve anything.
So I'm saying, like, we've watched movies where it's like a squad of 4, right?
Okay.
Like Navy SEAL dudes were able to bust into a cartel facility and kill like 30 guys.
Well, I mean, you got Ocean's 11, you got Band of Brothers, like.
No, I just mean in the concept of like high level operations. So like
those are all high level operations.
So what happens if it gets to a point where it's like, it's not just like 4 Navy SEALs against a bunch of mooks. It's 4 Navy SEAls against like a cartel who managed to buy 4 former Navy SEAL guys. Like who managed to like employ through like legit shell companies and through security contracts 4 legit Navy SEAls to guard against any threat that comes.
Well, that's going to be like spy versus spy at that point.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. That's when it becomes like a sport. Then it suddenly assesses like it's not normally Navy. Sometimes it's like, oh, he was former like Mossad. The guys we're up against this contract. Like the guy we're trying to kill contracted a company that employs dudes who are French Foreign Legion, former Mossad, former GRU. Like they would think of it as like a sport. It's like, are they pros or are they amateurs? Are they good or are they fucking?
No.
Like to what
I
end
feel like
can
it depends on how you define sport, right? Because I feel like the point of a sport is that it's a bounded game.
No, we're talking about highest levels of performance. Like if you look
Yeah.
at the way if you look at what the pros of like the top level teams do, like they have to go through all this this
Sure.
kind of therapy after every game to
Do
like
they? I don't know.
to like
Physical? You mean?
yeah, dude, like crazy
Yeah, okay,
physical, like
for
taking
sure.
ice baths, like
Yeah,
taking
but I'm
fucking-
saying like at the end of the day, you're still performing in a bounded game, right?
but warfare is a bounded game.
No, it's an unbounded game.
No, it's a bounded game because if you die, you lose. Simple as that.
Right, but I'm saying. See, now we have to go into like the concepts of gaming. Do you want to do that?
Game theory.
Not game. No, game theory is not. I'm talking about ludology, if you know what that word means.
Yeah, like I know the concept of the Latin root of the word ludin. Is that what it is? It's
Ludo,
like
yeah.
the state of play.
Yes.
Yeah, how like human exploration through the state of play.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
ludology is the study of play.
Which I think military like modern military operations and engagements are like a lot of ludology is applied. Like even like basic Marine training, it's like how far is that? 300 yards. How'd you know that? It's about 3 football fields.
Yeah.
You know, like that's
Yeah, Americans use anything besides the metric system.
that's what I'm saying. They use ludology, if anything, before.
No, ludology would be the study of such things.
But that's what I'm saying. They measure football fields, and that's a product of studying the state of the game of football.
No, that would be like meta.
Okay.
No, you're saying like you're applying game knowledge to other things. Ludology is the study of the game itself, or like the concept of gaming.
But to reference the study of like
That
to
would
study
not-
the game itself, you have to reference games, right?
Yeah, but like what you're describing would not be that.
I'm just saying the mentality of applying like like elements of a framework of one well-established game to what define another to rules of a new game, which is
Yeah, so
like
you-
how far would I have to send this bullet to go into that guy's brain? Oh, 3 football fields worth of distance, you know?
Yeah. I'm saying that would be a different thing. That wouldn't be ludology. That would be, I don't know what you'd call that, but it wouldn't be that.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Fine. All right. Anyway.
No, so like, okay. Do you know like a game is defined as where? Fuck, I don't remember this. You engage in I had a term for this. Oh yeah, lusory, right? You engage in something. You engage in lusory ends by lusory means. Lusory basically means kind of like arbitrary, but more like specifically chosen arbitrary.
Okay.
So, like, you engage in a game of basketball, right?
Yeah.
You have an arbitrary goal. Put the ball in the hoop.
You get points, yeah.
Yeah, but you only have certain means. Like, you can only dribble it. Like, you can only shoot it. Like, you
Pass
can't.
it.
You can pass. Yeah, but I'm saying, like, you can't, like, destroy the court and, like, bring the hoop down and, like, you know, kick the ball in.
Because that's just the rules of basketball, yeah.
Right, but I'm saying you choose to engage in those rules
Yeah.
for the sake of
Mutually
creating the
agreed,
game.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mutually agree on them and you mutually try to follow them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying warfare doesn't do this.
Yes, it does.
No, you don't agree to rules.
Yes, you do.
I don't think you do.
Are you serious?
What do you mean?
It's the simplest rule to agree to. It's if you die, you lose. If I die, I lose. That's what's more simple than that.
Well, no, the problem is that's not an agreement.
That is an agreement.
No.
Yes.
It's not lusory.
What's not lusory about it? Like, why is it not a rule that both sides agree on?
Because it doesn't matter if the other person agrees to it.
But they still agree to it.
No, they can't. It's not consensual.
Yes,
like,
it is.
If you die, that's not consensual.
No, but you might not die. You're not betting on the fact that you die. You're betting on the fact that you win and don't die.
No, but I'm saying if someone's trying to kill you, that's not consensual. You don't volunteer to get killed, right?
Yes, you do. If you choose not to kill them, then you basically are volunteering to get killed.
No, but I'm saying either way, if you try to kill them first or if you don't try to kill them first, if they kill you, you don't consent to that.
You only you consent to it if you let it happen, yeah.
But like you don't have a choice. You might not just even like if someone just like shot you through the window right now, you wouldn't even know that.
Yeah.
Like you're not part of the game. You don't even know you're in the game.
But you
just fucking die.
Well, you lost the game. Yeah. That was
but
the
I'm
agreement.
saying no. But the point of illusory means is both parties agree to them.
They do agree to it by participating.
No,
and trying
they
to,
do not.
If as long as you're trying to kill that guy, you're participating. As long as he's trying to kill you, he's participating.
But what if one person isn't trying to kill you and you're just trying to kill them? Are they participating?
You're making them participate.
Then that's not illusory. That's not a
So
game.
then what is it?
That's just power. That's just war.
No, still sounds like a game.
It's not a game. I'm telling you. By the definition I laid down, it's not a game. You could maybe have other definitions, but
Okay. Wait.
Like
wait. So you're saying it's only a game if lives aren't at stake?
no. I'm saying it's only a game if it's consensual.
But that
If
is
two-
consensual.
No, I'm saying if two people are like, "Hey, we're gonna fight to the death," that's a game. If one person's like, "I'm gonna kill this guy," that's not a game.
But that's what war is. It's basically agreeing like we're gonna fight to
No,
the death.
who the fuck agrees to war?
Are you serious?
I mean, sometimes it
War is
happens.
always declared. It's like we declare war on you.
No, exactly. Okay, the problem
Are you
is
wait? So how
Look.
else is war engaged then? Do you think?
no. Okay, if
Do you
someone
think like people just wake up one day and say, "Oh, hey, we're in war"?
no, okay, look.
No,
if,
war is declared.
If you're in a situation where the other person is going to kill you, regardless of what you do, that's not mutually consensual.
But what if you have a chance to not die if you kill them? Because if you have no chance,
well, everyone has a chance to not die if you kill the other
Because
person.
then
If you kill everyone around you, you have a chance to not die, but you're going to die eventually when you're like friends out. But that's not a game.
I think the fact, I think it's a
Like
game.
no, it's not. I'm telling you.
Why?
like-
Why isn't it a game? You still haven't explained why it's not a game.
Look, let's say you're like Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
And Russia's like, let's say you're Zelensky, right?
Yeah.
And Russia's like, okay, I'm going to conquer you.
Why don't they just surrender then?
Okay, let's say they surrender.
Yeah.
You think Zelensky's going to live?
He's just one guy.
I'm just saying, you think he's going to live though?
Maybe.
Like, no, Russia's going to kill him.
How do we know that?
Or like Russia's going to kill a lot of people.
How do we know that?
That's just how
They've
it works.
we know they've already killed a lot of people in
Yeah.
this way. How do we know it would have been the same if we went the other way?
Well, if he'd never taken power, they wouldn't have killed him. Fine.
I'm just saying, like, we don't know because we chose this power, and this is what I'm saying. We chose. This is the game. We chose the game of war.
No, I don't think that's how it works.
They could have given up. They could have just rolled the dice the other way, but no, they chose to roll the dice with war.
No, the problem with war is that if the other side wants to fuck with you,
We know the problem with war because we see it. I'm saying, what was the problem with giving up? Why wouldn't they have just given up?
well, if you give up and they kill you,
Well, I don't think they would have went around killing people who gave up.
why not?
Why would they?
Why wouldn't? I mean, it's not entirely.
You really
obvious.
you're telling me Russia would have walked into surrendered Ukraine and started killing civilians? It's like civilians would be like soldiers and civilians would be like, I have my hands. You think Russians would have really just went around and killing? No, they wouldn't have fucking done that.
That's been a thing.
But they wouldn't have done that.
That's been a thing.
Do you think they would have done that honestly?
Okay, let's say you're Jews in the Holocaust. You
No,
surrendered.
that was the 1940s. The war in Ukraine was something completely different.
No, but I'm saying like there are my point is there are scenarios where they're gonna kill you, right?
Yeah, but guess what? The scenario that we're going through, they're still fucking killing them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but regardless of whether or not they're still killing them, my point is,
I think my point is whatever scenario you pick,
involuntary.
no matter what scenario you pick, people are going to be killing people. That's just a fact of life.
Yeah. So because it's not voluntary, it's not a game. You're not agreeing to an
No,
arbitrary.
it is a game. What you're saying is the idea of killing people makes it not a game, but I counter with whether it's a game or not, people are still going to be killing people. So that should have nothing to do with it. What makes it a game is the fact that there's two opposing intentions that are at play against each other to realize their own shit. That's what makes it a game. No matter if it's consensual, no matter if there's lives at stake or not. No, what matters is there's two opposing intentions. One wants to see this reality, the other wants to see this reality. That's what makes it a game.
I mean, first off, there's plenty of games that don't have two opposing sides. So you're just wrong.
All right, like what? Like name what?
I don't know, like any. Fuck, I don't know.
No, there's always an opposing side to a game. That's the whole point of a game.
Oh, like,
A game.
Okay, solitaire.
Solitaire?
Yeah.
The opposing side is the RNG, the randomness of the shuffled deck of cards. You're working against that.
Okay, well now I'm saying
you
it's
said
not a
there's
player.
no opposing force. Yes, it's a game with an opposing force. You just made one for yourself. It's like shadow boxing. It's still a game. You're just boxing against your shadow. You know.
No, but
It may be an unwinnable game, but it's still a game.
No, but the thing about boxing is, again, you're engaging in illusory ends through illusory means. You volunteer to box. You obey by the rules of boxing, right? There's no rules of war. And
Yes,
it's
there
not
is.
voluntary.
There is a rule of war.
You can't get out of war.
But there is a
even if you
rule
want.
of war.
What's the rule?
It's if you die, you lose.
No, it's a rule, but it's not illusory.
Okay, fine. If you die, you surrender, or you lose the will to fight, or the ability to fight, then you lose. Those are your rules.
Yeah, they're not illusory.
What do you mean they're not illusory?
They apply regardless of whether or not you want them to apply.
Yeah, but that's what a game. That's what rules are for in a game.
No, you
They apply
agree
what they
to play a game.
Yeah.
Like if one side is playing basketball and the other side like punches you in the face,
Yeah.
you're not playing
But
basketball.
they broke the rules of basketball.
Right, but I'm saying you both agreed to play by the rules of basketball.
Yeah, 'cause
Warfare doesn't
'cause
have
you're-
this.
Yes, it does. You're both participating in war. First of all, there's no rule that says you can't punch your opposing member in the face in war. That's not the rule of war.
That's my point. There is no rules of war.
There is a rule of war.
What's the war?
If you die,
but
you
they're
lose.
not illusory.
But that's
Jesus
still a
Christ.
fucking rule.
No.
What makes a rule illusory compared to not?
Whether or not you agree to it.
But they
That's
both
it.
agree to it. Both sides agree to this
You
rule.
can't agree to it.
What do you mean they can't agree to it?
If you're like, hey, I'm in war,
How about
don't
this?
punch each other in the face.
I counter with they have no fucking choice but to agree to this rule. Because that's the
That's-
rule of war.
Exactly.
So they have no choice but to agree to the rules.
So then it's not illusory. Exactly.
But if
You're
you're going
right.
to play basketball, then you have no choice but to follow the rules of basketball.
No, you could just not play it.
You could just not play war.
You can't
Why?
because you'll die.
Says who?
Says reality.
You never heard of people abandoning the war and like going somewhere else away from the war?
Sure,
Yeah, it's always a choice.
but I mean, if you can get away with it, yeah.
Yeah, because that's just a part of the game of war. It's if you could get
It's
away
not
from
a game, dude.
It's a fucking game. It's all right. You know what? By your definition of a game, it may not be a game to us. It may not be a game to the soldiers that live and die. It may not be a game, but for
Yes.
someone in the chain, trust me, it's a fucking game.
Maybe. I don't
Which
know.
means it's a fucking game on a certain level.
I just don't see it.
Because we don't well, first of all, because neither of us are like generals or people above generals. So even I
No,
can't
but
say
again,
I've
like-
experienced war as a game, but I know that war can be a game.
No, look, I think games model power dynamics, right? Like,
Just like
there's-
war.
Yes, they do. That's why they're interesting and illuminating, and people.
I think what we have to agree on is that war is the highest game. Compared to every other game, there is no game as high as war. War is the ultimate game. Only played by the gods of humanity, not us. you
Well,
know?
by that logic, you could say life is the ultimate game.
Yes. Now we're getting somewhere. Now that is what I was trying to get at. Yes, life is the ultimate game. You know,
But
like, it
the
really is.
problem is that that's one of those like you make the definition so broad that it becomes useless type deals.
But at the same time, if it becomes useless enough, eventually it's like you could find some use for it.
it's like saying like everything is art.
Yeah.
Okay,
But that's
now,
another thing.
now you
I
don't
think
get
war.
anywhere.
No, I think war is the ultimate art. I think war is the highest art. I think war is like the high. Because first of all, war is an art. It reflects art in the sense it's carving away unwanted elements to reflect your beautified reality. Second, it involves so many different mediums, from time to every element to every fucking the sea to the skies to the earth. Like. And it also involves choreography, it involves engineering, it involves science, it involves chemistry, it involves graphic design, it involves everything. War is the ultimate art. It's the all-encompassing. Wherever man goes, war will follow. War is the ultimate art of humanity.
You're just speaking like metaphorically. That's
It's
like
true,
the
though.
annoying thing.
But it's true.
Like, it's not.
It is.
You could say it.
It
but
is.
No, okay. Like, you just be using a different definition of art. than the definition.
Okay,
of
put it
what
this way.
most
Let me
people
give you a great example. For example, you look at a sculptor, right? And you give him a slab of marble, and he chips
Sure.
away unwanted parts of the marble to make his sculpture. You look at like a fire team and a hostage situation. Like the terrorists are the unwanted pieces of marble that you have to chip away to create your beautified sculpture, which is a reality where the terrorists are dead and the hostages go free. It's
have to
not that
die.
different. If you look at a firefight, it's not that different as a choreographed dance. You have to be just as tight and just as fucking rhythmic with the right cadence to be able to carry out certain executions, which is no different from a fucking like well executed dance. You know, where you take account of like, you know, unknown elements and shit. It's not that
If you
different.
Only focus on the similarities between two tasks. You will find them.
I'm not talking about just similarities. I'm talking about the
What are-
actual the
what are
craft,
the
the craft
differences?
that goes into it, the craft, the care, the attention to detail,
Yeah.
the creation, the manifestation.
All that I agree with.
Yeah.
But again, you're just focusing on the
But
similarities.
nothing else will have as much at stake. And what is at stake? The nature of reality itself.
But the whole point of games is that they're illusory. There is nothing at stake except
Do
the
you really
stakes that you agree to.
you think that's the point of games?
Yes.
The point of games is to just have nothing at stake?
No. The
That's
point
bullshit.
of games is to have stakes that you agree to.
Yeah.
So like if you want to have prize money, if you want to like kill each other, you have to both agree to it. That is the point. Like if you're playing Russian roulette,
But we do all agree to war because
That's-
the only reason why
like,
we
war is not
the only
Russian
reason
roulette.
the only reason why I agree to war is because I identify with my home, I identify with my country, I
No,
identify
you
with my friends and
don't. You
family,
don't
and my
agree
culture.
to war.
Yes, that's what. Are you serious? Then if they didn't agree to war, then they would fucking leave their country and bail on the war and their country.
they can't.
Why?
Material reasons.
Like what?
Oftentimes.
Like what?
Like you just can't leave.
Why not?
Sometimes you just can't.
Why?
I mean, sometimes you choose not to, sure.
Yeah.
But like
I think most of the time people choose not to leave the only home they've
Well,
ever
like-
known, which is okay. I validate that decision, but it's still a decision.
well like if you have no means of transportation, if you have no country that will take you,
Well, then that's not a matter of like a desire. That's a matter of ability.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So then you don't have a choice but to fight.
Yeah, but then there's also plenty of people who have no choice but to play basketball because they have no other way of getting out of the hood.
No, they have many. They don't have
not
to get out of
not
the
to
hood.
them, not to them. To them,
Getting
it's
out of
no to
not
them. It's
getting
no
out
different.
of the hood is not dying.
What if
There's a
they're just not
difference.
smart? What if they just chose to actually like, you know?
But you can't say they have a choice but not to play basketball.
Look.
They have plenty of choice.
I'm just saying. What if they had a brain disease that made them
But
made
like,
them
okay,
incapable
even
of
if they
learning?
have a choice, even if they're fucking forced to play basketball for their lives, right? Like, the basketball is still
Wait,
a
what was your main
it's
point
still a
with
game.
the
Illusory.
ludosuri? Like, well, like how? Why is this? What's the actual importance of luda something?
Ludology.
Ludology, yeah. What was the actual core reasoning of you bringing it
There's
up?
no core reasoning. It's just how you define it.
Okay, so it's important.
Like
though,
you
right?
could, well, look, in some sense, going postmodern, definitions are arbitrary, right? You could give any definition to anything. You know, you could say, you know, a game is semen retention, right?
Yeah.
Like you could do that, and like if you define it to mean such things, you can still be valid. The point is, when people are referring to something, they typically have a specific set of pattern boundaries in mind, right? So when they're looking at games, they're looking at a certain pattern of things that happen, like a certain phenomenon,
Yeah.
like basketball, right? So you're going to have to say, like, you know, what set of patterns, like where is the boundary for like something like basketball, baseball, whatever the fuck, chess, right? Relative to something that isn't those things. And that is the definition that people came up with. But like you could use different definitions if you want.
Sure.
I guess that sounds really abstract, but whatever.
No. I was just thinking like I don't know. As far as I just think the idea of I mean, I know what different states feel like. Like, well, when you haven't been in one state, like for example, where you just think, I don't know. All right, like, how do you feel about the words? Like when I say to you, like, "Oh, we're just a focal point of the universe being made aware of itself."
How do I feel?
Yeah, like when you hear those words, like how do those words make you feel?
Cringe. Not.
Really? Why?
Well, I guess it depends on the context.
You're just a focal point of the universe being made aware of itself. What's so cringe about that?
Well, it usually it's not the words themselves; it's the context in which they're said.
Regardless,
Like
forget about the context. I'm just asking you, how do the words make you feel? Like, how do you relate to those words personally?
I don't.
You don't relate to those words?
Not really. No.
Why not?
I can't tell you why not. I just don't.
Because you haven't thought about it?
I have thought about it to some degree.
Okay, so how do you feel about the words then, other than just cringe? Like, why do you feel cringe about it? Like, what don't you like about those words?
Well, because they imply a whole set of conditions that I don't necessarily subscribe to.
Which is what?
The universe having a focal point that is you.
Which is not true. Why?
I can't tell you, because I don't know. Like,
so you just know you don't like it.
No, it's more like it's like presupposition, right? Like, it has not been shown that this is the case, so why should I accept it?
But why? You're a part of the universe, no?
Yeah.
And you're aware. You're being aware of things, no?
Yes.
And you're aware of the universe, no?
Yes.
So you are a focal point of the universe being made aware of itself.
You can say that, but you're drawing a whole bunch of categories.
What categories? All I'm doing is just talking about things that we just know exist. Like the
No. The universe is a category. Ourselves are a category, right? Like, you drew boundaries around those patterns implicitly.
Like what boundaries though?
But that's what
Like
you
what
could
did
say
what did I limit with what I said?
everything that isn't that.
Like what isn't that though? What isn't the universe and what isn't you?
So then how's it a focal point?
Because you're able to think, aren't you? You're able to focus, aren't you? And you're able to you're capable of focusing on the universe, aren't you? Which we are all a part of and we are all of. So yeah, it's a focal point of the universe becoming aware of itself. The universe is bigger than you, Dimitri. I'm sorry. Like,
that's
it
fine.
is.
No, I don't disagree with that.
And you are of the universe. So yeah, you are a focal point, a condensed thing in the universe
so,
that's able to think and reflect on itself.
Okay,
Yes.
so what isn't a focal point of the universe?
Something that doesn't think.
Okay, so if you have more than one focal point, is that a focal point?
Well, the things you have, like, could you have a focal point on anything that isn't of the universe?
No. I'm saying a focal point would imply a singular point, right?
Yeah.
But, like, how many things are able to think?
Aren't you able to think?
Yes, but I'm not exclusively able to think. I think a lot of things around me are able to think.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, they're all focal points of the universe.
Yeah, but I'm also
Therefore, it's not.
I'm also a focal point that's able to think, right?
Yes.
But we are both a part of the universe, right?
Yes.
So we are both focal points of the universe being made aware of itself in different ways.
But I'm saying the term focal point implies a singular entity.
No.
If
there,
you have
there could be multiple. You just said there were multiple focal points.
No. I'm saying you're saying there's multiple focal points.
Yeah.
I'm saying a focal point typically implies exclusivity.
No, it could just imply individuality and uniqueness. There could be unique focal points for different reasons, and I don't know. For example, like a frequency, like a different frequency is a different focal point within the spectrum of signals, right? Like one focal point is this frequency, which allows me to pick up NPR, and another frequency is a focal point within the spectrum that allows me to pick up a different station. We're all different focal points.
Yeah, so you have the optionality of focal points.
Yeah.
But if you tuned into all the focal points at the same time, is that a focal point?
Can you?
But that's what you're claiming. If we're all focal points of the universe,
Yeah.
then that's too many focal points to be a focal point.
Is it though?
That's what I'm saying.
What if the universe itself is a focal point?
Then you drew the boundary in a different area now.
What do you mean?
If, like, focal point implies one. If I am one and you're one and everyone else is one, then you have like 1,000 focal points. So then if you're saying the whole thing is a focal point, then you just move the boundary to expand.
No, it could be nested. For example, there's one focal point which
Then
branches
that's not
off
a
into
that's not a point. It's a hierarchy.
inflection points. Then let's call it inflection points.
No, the point is inflection would mean a different thing.
I don't
Whatever,
know.
we're just arguing semantics.
Look. You don't. First of all, you can only account for your own thoughts, right? You can only account for your own perspective and all that stuff. So you are a focal point. I could account for my own thoughts and my own perspective, so I know I'm a focal point. You know, like I could bank on that much.
First off, I don't even have to agree that you're real.
Exactly.
Speaking.
But you have to agree that at least you are at least a focal point.
I also don't have to agree with it.
Why not?
For all I know, I could be fake.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, we could wrap it up with that.
All right.
Anyway, I'll see you guys.
Yeah,
Till
retain
next
semen,
time.
bros.
Yeah.
Peace.